Yes, hello. I am James Rowlands, and today it's a Wnr516. It's WrestleMania 40. It's the review. After all that build-up, we are finally here, and luckily, I'm not alone. I have a pleasure to be joined by the entire WNR team. Up first by my side for every WWE and AEW show is a fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. How's it going, Jaxie?
Hello, hello. Happy review day. I've been eager to get to this pod. I think it's been, a week of kind of going over things, reviewing things, and just it was a great weekend for wrestling. So I'm eager to get into this.
Yeah, I think without doubt. I think this weekend, I mean, obviously last weekend we did 2 shows, nearly 6 hours, and I think the build-up, the actual event lived up to the build-up. Of course we're going to talk about it, but that's the exciting thing.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, up next, our resident NXT expert and New Japan demigod. It is Monty. How's it going, Monty?
Yeah, it's great. Great. WrestleMania season is over, but like you said, we're still kind of riding that wave, riding that high. I remember basically the last few years of really enjoying WrestleMania, but this past weekend was some of the best stuff I think they've done in a while for a lot of reasons. We'll get into it today. I'm excited, man. Like you said, still riding the wave of the great content we've been able to get from just wrestling in general, but really what WWE's been doing for the last few months. Like, they've been on a roll, and they continued that all the way up to now.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. And next, or last but by no means least, turn around. Look at what you see in her face. The mirror of your dreams. Make believe I'm everywhere. I'm hidden in the lines. Written on the pages is the answer to a never-ending story. Fa la 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 la. Story. Fa la 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 la. Story. Fa la. Oh, okay, that's enough. It is Gina. It is the Atreyu to my Bastion. It is Gina. How's it going?
I love that. Every time I get this special intro, it just makes me feel like a princess. How is it going, gang?
I'm not going to lie, it's a lot of work, but it's worth it. But yes, Gina, it's WrestleMania, and again, the biggest WrestleMania of all time. We've talked about it, now it's time to review it. It's so exciting.
It is. It really is exciting times, and we're going to be doing both WrestleMania shows in this pod, so I hope everyone's strapped in and has a cup of tea or some vodka.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, there's going to be a lot. Like I said, we've got Raw and SmackDown afterwards as well, and everything in between. But first, sadly, we got news from Japanese media announcing that Akabono had died of heart failure at the age of 54. I'd actually mentioned him on the live show last weekend. Of course, his appearance against Big Show in a sumo match at WrestleMania 21. And as found out, he is Hawaiian descent, born in Hawaii. And again, an achievement beyond repair in Japan, of course, with sumo wrestling and everything like this. But Monty, again, it is sad to see someone like this at such a young age as well pass away, even if he just barely touched the wrestling world.
Yeah, I mean, he spent time in All Japan Pro Wrestling too. He's made, I think he's a 2-time champ or something there. So like, he was great. Your real Yokozuna. I know maybe everybody don't follow sumo wrestling, but he had the name, like you said, the name and the cachet for WWE way back in, I guess, when was 21? Would that be 05, 06?
Yeah,
around
that
05,
time? Yeah.
Yeah, 2005. So yeah. So he had the cachet, the name value at the time for them to call him up and have him do that match against Big Show. So again, real life of Yokozuna, a badass, and like you said, very sad to hear about Akebono pass, especially like you mentioned. It's like, dang, man, we just had fun, just bringing up a nice memory, and then you hear about that. It's like, damn, like, come on, man, we can't even bring up people. But yeah, no, definitely sad. But he left an impact. He had a big time legacy, particularly in the sumo wrestling world. So it was sad to see him to hear about that. But I think I know we all here at the pod sending our condolences and best wishes to his loved one.
Without doubt, he will be missed. And as Gina was saying as well, what show we have tonight? Gina's perfect Mania record versus my streak. Reviewing quite possibly the greatest Mania of all time. Plus, of course, Perry and all that happened this week. But we're going to start April 6th, kickoff, 2 hours of kickoff. Michael Cole, Pat McAfee, Big E and CM Punk seem to be having fun. We see a lot of wrestlers arriving. Punk actually stumbling over his words, a bit of a surprise. But Big E and Punk together, Philly. Get it? Anyway, first mention of the wind. We get Jackie Redmond, Byron Saxton, Caleb Braxton roaming around. Cody's bus was burned down. Triple H interview with Megan Morant. It was a good interview, actually. Rock and Hunter's journey through it, the passion. Chip's talking about not missing wrestling. Of course, part 2 was on Sunday. Punk wishes he'd come back sooner. Big E said he should have left, but things have changed. One thing we should talk about, and Jackson, we've only heard it in the past couple of days as well. Of course, Big E on the kickoff panel, doing a couple other things, but being told that he may never wrestle again. It's such a shame for the former W champion and such a kind of huge impact on the sport.
This came as a shock because I think as a fan watching from TV rather than live and in person, you're sharing this excitement that is coming across from both fans and even the staff that are working this. Then you get this sort of like sudden sad moment of E revealing this, and it was very, very sad to hear that. I really hope that whatever he does in future still is surrounded around wrestling. It's just a real shame. It was not his time, and yeah, I'm very gutted for him. My thoughts are with him.
Yeah, without doubt, it's a shame. Such a talented guy. We get Rosenberg and Braun Strowman drinking whiskey. Braun Strowman is the new Big Show. Whether he means to do it or not, I know he's injured, but literally that is what Big Show did a lot of WrestleMania 18. Sami Zayn was interviewed. He's nervous. The panel had a lot of respect for the Usos. Punk doesn't know Rocky 4. That's a fuck you to Mox. JBL backstage, of course, he's back in Dom. We get Tom Rinaldo inside selling belts. Let's avoid him. Redmond Barrett replaced Cole and Pat. We still get Punk chance with Nick Aldis on the panel talking signing Cargill. Michael Cole's story about WrestleMania 1 was quite good. Santos and Dom have a strategy. They want to destroy Ray. And then Jack had to sit down with Seth and Cody. Seth did it for Dusty. Of course, Punk doesn't trust him. But anyway, 2 hours of kickoff. Was it worth it? Was it fuck? But here we go. April 6th, night 1, a new intro. Gina, what did you think of the new intro? Because when this come up, it was talk about like a never-ending story. This was magical.
As in the new sort of intro graphic.
Yeah, the now, then, forever. With
very Avengers. Very Marvel and Avengers. I thought that we were looking at, what's the character from the Marvel universe? Is it Kang the Conqueror? I thought it was him, first of all. That came up. So, yeah, it was new for me to take in. I like the look of it. It looks really, really cool. But, yeah, it's very, very...
I definitely got Endgame. I got Endgame vibes from it, from the purple stars and stuff. I think it's probably just because of like the poster of Endgame. It's all purple and everything. But yeah, that was the first thing that came to my mind when I saw that graphic. It's really good, but it just gave me Endgame vibes.
Well, this is the thing, because I think last year they added like an acknowledge me to the signature, and I was trying to convince you three, like, this is the end of Roman. To actually have like a new intro and be like, shit, this is kind of like either an end or like the start of, as we're going to find out, a new era. But again, like I said, a way to start it off, and we see Cody, Seth, Roman and Rock arrive. Got Coco Jones singing the national anthem. Triple H came out to welcome us to the 40th WrestleMania. The stadium looked awesome. Stage was minimal, but again, Monty, we've spoken about this a lot of times when it comes to like WrestleMania, and it seems like now, especially with these events, the crowd is like the main stage.
Definitely. It's the fact that they're selling out or filling up these football, big NFL stadiums. And Triple H kind of mentioned that, which I know we're going to talk about the press conference, but and we'll talk about it again in some of the shows after this. He doesn't give a damn about these big fancy sets. He rather showcase all the people that they have there, and I think that's just again a very dope way, because we talk about it all the time. Even when the wrestling wasn't the greatest, WWE always had production and spectacle. So for him to kind of just say, yeah, the set may be simplistic, but it's not really the most important. We want you to focus on the superstars and the people, and you can kind of feel that with the way everything was set up here.
Without a doubt. So we started off then with the Women's World Championship, Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch was trying to sell a book. Sorry, she had a special entrance, narrating select quotes from her book, which coincidentally is out now. Ripley was played by the ring by the band Motionless in White. Now, Gina, I don't know about you. We know Ripley's like a superstar, but she keeps having these WrestleMania entries like this. She won't be healed much longer. Even if the guy is a fucking... I mean, I'll leave it there.
I mean, yeah, I don't think that now at this point, even though Rhea's meant to be heel, I just still don't see her as a heel because she's just too loved and too over, just like Stone Cold was when they tried to make him a heel. But it just didn't work because everyone still loved him and cheered for him, even if he was being an asshole.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, does it? She is a star. And the two of them got to work after the bell, and the man scored the first major takedown with a flying dropkick that sent the champion out the ring. Eradicator took control and began beating on Lynch in the corner, but never felt like either woman had the upper hand for too long. Ripley hit a nice Northern Light suplex, followed by an awesome sequence with Lynch counting a suplex into an inside cradle, only for a champion to power back up for a suplex anyway. We actually saw quite a lot of great individual moves and sequences. Lynch focused a lot of attention on the arm. Ripley had in the cast until Friday. She tried to go for finish, but Eradicator locked in a signature standing reverse cloverleaf for the man could apply a trademark armbar. And after counting the manhandle slam for the middle rope, Eradicator hit the riptide in the turnbuckle for another in the middle of the ring to score the win and retain her title. Jaxie, what do you think of this?
I mean, this was a good match between the two of them. I think that, like you said, both of the women had sort of high points throughout the match and highlights. It was a slow start, but I think by the end of it, kind of the match itself was good. It was great. It just felt like I just didn't ever feel like Rhea was going to lose it, and I feel really bad for saying that when it's facing someone as big and hype as Becky, and that doesn't take anything away from her. But as you guys rightly pointed out just a second ago, from her entrance to just that reaction you get from the fans, she's too over to lose it right now. So this didn't come as a shock to me at the win. However, I thought it was a great showcase between both women.
Yeah, it's one of the few times that a champion's held the title for a year. It feels like they're just getting started in a weird way. Do you know what I mean? And Becky Lynch she's main event at WrestleMania, so for Ripley to be like that against her is a bit of a surprise, but
for sure.
Well, anyway, Gina, about this match as well. When you think Lynch had a fever and Ripley had a panic attack backstage, and I know from experience that's rough, to go out there and do this is pretty impressive.
For sure. I mean, when I read that Ripley had a bit of a panic just before going out, for some reason, I feel like I could feel it. It's one of the biggest stages for any wrestler to find themselves on. And when you're about to go out there and perform, stage fright is going to hit you. It really will. It hits anyone, singers, actors, and even wrestlers. So it's in a way kind of nice to know that these wrestlers are human. They do have, nervous points, just like the rest of us do. So fair play to them.
Both look like stars as well. One thing I will say, Monty, I'll ask you this, is do they not have wind in America? I remember asking you live. I've got to do it on the podcast as well, because the commentary had never experienced it before, it seemed. But again, thoughts on wind, thoughts on this match?
Of course they got wind in America. Some places are just different types of wind, Got a place like Chicago that is the windy city. So it's worse there. But I think it was 15 miles per hour. That's pretty rough, especially on when you got a lot of people who are not. You got to understand the WrestleMania crowd and obviously the commentators, they're not from Philadelphia. They're not used If Corey was cold and he's from Pittsburgh, he's from Pennsylvania, then I believe it had to be something to the chill. Especially when you think about what happened the next night when it was warmer and the crowd was completely different. So it had to be something to it. I'm always gonna take. Well, I'll take. It was a lot of people defending themselves, saying that that's why the crowd was the way it was throughout night one. So I take their word for it. I wasn't there, but 40, 50 degrees.
No,
Yeah, they were cold. That's what they said. They said they were cold. 15 miles per hour winds. As a matter of fact, I think Michael Cole got roasted for being a meteorologist. So obviously he was cold because he kept reminding
but
us.
also you got to think like for the fans and the commentary team, they are staying stagnant for like
they're
4
sitting in
5
one
hours
spot.
at a time.
Yeah.
They're not moving around, and like the wrestlers are that are building and generating heat. So I can understand to a certain extent of sitting still and actually feeling that cold and not being able to get over that feel.
Yeah, and Philadelphia's up there, on the east, northeast part of the United States. So it does get windy in that New England area, even though I think they're a little bit further south than like a New York was. That New York mania, it was horrible a while back when they decided to do that too. So it's always tough this time of year in the spring, but yeah, it could have been worse. We'll see what they decide to do. I think there's rumors of them going to Minnesota. Thank goodness Minnesota got a dome, so they'll be all right if they do that. So they'll be able to close up and get under some heat. But yeah, this match, man, I really was into it. I thought both girls were incredible, and Becky Lynch with the interest with the book and actually reading quotes from the book, and she had quotes of the book on her gear like that. That's just it. She looked incredible. But you're 100% right. The star power that Rhea Ripley possesses on another level. Even if the motionless and white guy looked kind of undead to me, like an undead version of her, almost or something. That's kind of how he looked. But hey, it was what it was. I thought it fit her aesthetic perfectly. The match was really, really good. They were being creative. It's obviously probably going to get compared to the Charlotte match. I don't necessarily think it was that, but like you mentioned, James, Becky, not only did she have a fever, she wrestled through. She had strep throat earlier in the week. Trust me, if anybody had strep, you ain't supposed to be doing this when you dealing with fever and strep throat and all that. So kudos, man. Kudos for going out there and still being able to do this, having the stamina to do this. And like you guys mentioned with the panic attack, Rhea to be able to compose herself and perform like they did. I really think they set a really good tone. I thought it was really good. I was impressed from both ladies, two superstars in this industry. And I think it was the right decision. Rhea had to win this mostly because, like you guys mentioned, even though she's had the belt a while, it's still some fresh stories left to be told from Rhea being the champion, in my opinion. And I think it's more stories at least than I think you could tell with Becky in this current iteration of herself because, again, I just feel like when Becky was on top, she was able to kind of do a lot. So I think Rhea deserves a chance. And then, kind of like what Bianca was doing with taking out Sasha, and she's beaten Bayley multiple times. And, I don't think she's ran into Charlotte quite yet, but I think maybe she has beaten Charlotte. I'm not sure. But the point is, her and Rhea Ripley are collecting 4 horsewomen at this point. So I'm kind of into it. I like it.
Like we said, was everything perfect in the match? No, but it was a great way to start the show. Jaxie, what do you score out of 5?
I'm going to give this a 3 3/4. I thought it was a decent match, and it was like a great way to open up WrestleMania with 2 star power women, and they just gave it their all out there. Again, echo everything that they said about both women and what they went through before the match. So yeah, 3 3/4.
Gina?
Yeah, I gave it a 4.
Monty?
Yeah, 4 is right where I gave it to. Really good stuff.
I'll give it 4 1/4. Predictions. Well, the WNR Prediction League 2024. After Stand and Deliver, this is before night 1. Bonus League, Monty is on 16. Gina's on 11. I'm on 10. Jaxie on 7. AEW, I'm on 1. The rest are on 0. And WWE, Monty on 2. I'm on 1. Jaxie and Gina on 0. We all went Ripley here, so all on 1. Up next, we get Pretty Deadly. Yes, boy! And they had a good video for the Undisputed Tag titles with Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, R-Truth and Miz, Pete Dunne, Taylor Bate, Austin Theory, Grayson Waller, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods challenged Finn Balor and Damon Priest for the titles in a 6-pack ladder match. Gargano had Shawn Michaels inspired gear, and Ciampa looked a bit like Triple H. I mean, what can we say about this? Also, I mean, Monty, we mentioned this, but what I like more is Xavier Woods channeling his days as Consecrus Creed from Impact and all that lot.
Yeah, man, and it ties into Philadelphia with like a Rocky, because obviously Consequences Creed, inspired by Apollo, so it was perfect. But like you mentioned that, it definitely gave you TNA vibes. TNA wins again, as I keep sharing with you multiple occasions. It's always good to get that TNA love in, man. Yeah, this was their gear was awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, I weren't sure about Priest and Balor. I mean, I don't know if Balor could see the mask, but anyway, Michael Cole, you can tell he was having fun. Yeah, Cole's having fun by talking about the video mistake for Dunn and Bate. The belts were also hung separately, which made it almost too obvious. And Gina, I have to apologise. You were bang on about picking 2 when we were doing predictions. I, of course, should listen to the prediction queen. I apologise.
I knew it. I did the Leonardo DiCaprio meme, and I clicked at the TV screen to say, I knew it. I knew it. They hung them separately. It was the G site, guys.
Yeah. Well, like I said, as long as you don't rub in too much. But we see Priest taking out Dunn and Bate in a brutal way by using the ladder as a missile to take the former off a ladder. Truth had some great comedy spots, including a moment where he got the hot tag and he won by pinfall. But we also saw a couple of great moves. Theory and Waller took down the SmackDown tag titles to claim those. I mean, Jaxie, did you see this coming? Theory and Waller? I mean, out of all the teams we had, not one of us.
James, none of us saw this coming. None of us did. I think this is the one time that I actually shouted at my TV and was like, oh, fuck off with these two. None of us even actually thought about it. Not once did I actually think that these two were going to be the first to clock a win. I was pissed off. I was definitely pissed.
Yeah, me too. Well, Waller had a belt over his shoulder as he was thrown off outside the ring through another ladder, which looked great. Gargano took a big bump with Dunn through a table, but I think the biggest spot was JD McDonough, who was thrown off a ladder through some tables outside the ring in an attempt to help the Judgment Day. But after years of being a beloved goofball, R-Truth finally got his WrestleMania moment when he won the Raw Tag Team Championships. I thought we were going to have a real serious accident at one point with R-Truth, but no, he got the titles and the Miz climbed up and they hugged and celebrated their victory. I mean, Gina, what about this, eh? What a great moment. But did you panic for Truth?
I did. I really did. I was screaming at Truth, just get the belt! Just do it! So, yeah, it was quite a loud match for me, and I'm sorry to my neighbours.
What did you think of it overall, though? Because there was a lot going on, and I think it was quite good.
There was a lot going on. I definitely had to go back and re-watch the match again, like the day after, just to make sure that there were like spots that I didn't miss. But there were great spots throughout. I think every team got their kind of moment to shine throughout the match. And again, I really wasn't expecting any of, like, at least one of those winners to come out.
Yeah, no, that's what a nice surprise, isn't it? You know, and Monty again, nearly a fucked up ladder, you know, and even the referee telling Priest like, no, it'd be fine, and it's like, no, you need a new ladder.
Yeah, I know the Miz climbed right up once before. Like, he climbed up right up on it, and you could just see the ladder cave in under his weight. And thank God everything, did not, thank God it didn't collapse right there, like you mentioned. Jessica Carr helping out Priest, whether he knew it or not at the time, that she was kind of saving him about letting them know about the ladder. And like I mentioned before, like this could have been what it was, fun and just a good time, or it could be a complete mess. And I think you can just tell at times, having this many people in a match, sometimes it got a little bit chaotic, but you have to expect that with 12 people. I do push back on the Theory and Waller. My thought process was like, if they're gonna separate, do we need a heel to do it? But I psyched myself out, so I'm not surprised about that one.
As soon as I saw them color coordinated, I thought we're in trouble.
Yeah, it was like, oh, they got better chance than you think, right? Exactly. When you see them actually look like a team, instead of looking like the joke they've been following around Logan at that point. So it was a good little bait and switch there. But of course, with Truth winning, I think at least getting that done. I think everybody wanted to see that, and they made it fun, with the Truth spots. Bait, by the way, I think they probably gonna go under notice, so I want to mention them. But Bait and Dunn, man, they had some killer spots. They really carried, in my opinion, with like the double moonsault and taking the big spot through the table that Pete took from Gargano, and I think it was Bait who took the air raid from Ciampa from the top. So yeah, it was they DIY and the catch crew did a great job of really putting some high spots in there. But I thought the emotion, the story, the vibes of the match was definitely carried by R-Truth and them. And he's afraid of heights, guys. So I wasn't surprised it took him a little while. So it's kind of it's obvious. It's always cool when you see somebody who's obviously afraid of height, like Devon back in the day in them TLC matches. It was always funny to watch them climb up the ladder because you can tell he was afraid. But yeah, man, it was fun. It was a whole lot of fun, and I think when you book 12 people in a match like this, if you can find a way to make it fun and then you tell the story that you want to tell, you deserve kudos, man, because this could have been a cluster in many ways, James, like you mentioned.
And also, we'll say about The Miz, becomes one of the few men to win the Intercontinental title, to win the tag team titles, and also retain his world title, the main event of WrestleMania. So, under the radar and a bit of a joke, but quite a resume he's got, especially at WrestleMania now. The Miz always seems to have a match. And Jaxie, I'm going to say this to you. Johnny Wrestling is lush. And he tried to prove it by breaking Pete Dunne's neck.
I mean, yeah, I have to actually just go back and reiterate what Monty just said. But both Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, they were one of the standout teams for me throughout that whole match. I think that they had some really great spots in the double moonsault moment. Really just had me hyped, and I really was on a high, thinking they're going to win the belts. So there were some great spots. Ciampa and DIY also helped carry it, and I also saw at one point, I'm pretty sure it was Johnny again, doing a save and catching R-Truth in a way where he didn't land awkwardly, and I was just his area awareness and his ring awareness is really, really great. He was constantly doing high notes, but also keeping an eye out on his colleagues, and the safety. So yeah, this was a fun match. It could have gotten messier. It really could have. But I think both these teams, DIY and what are they called? Catch something.
Yeah, they're called Dunn and Bate.
Dunn and Bate. Let's just call them Dunn and Bate. Yeah, I think both those two teams were actually really good standout teams, not only from a support point of view, but also from the high moments that they actually delivered. It was quite wounding not to see either of them pick up belts, but as you guys have also said, it needed to be sort of a heel and a face team winning it. So really should have thought about that a bit more.
Yeah. Not to rub it in, but again with predictions, yeah, literally the only one not to get a point. But again, I'm not gonna say anything else. Actually, I'm just gonna...
Yes. All right, James. All right.
I would also just like to quickly point in and say the ladder part with, I think it was Bate. Oh, for goodness sake, I've got the police are after someone. My end in the back. I'm sorry if you hear the siren, but no, Bate had a section in the match.
That's not a euphemism, is it?
No, it's not. It's real.
Right, okay.
But yeah, he had the ladder on his neck, and he did the helicopter with the ladder, and it was just great. It was a great spot for him. And again, I actually thought the New Catch Republic were going to be one of the champs just from that spot. So yeah, they had a great match. Yeah,
no, it was really good stuff. So out of 5, then Gina, what would you give out of 5? Out of 5.
I'll give this a 4.5. I was thoroughly entertained, and it was so fun to watch back again a second time around.
Monty, what about you?
Yeah, I give it 4 stars. Really, really good, man. And like I said, kudos to everybody for fulfilling their roles. Don't seem like anybody got seriously hurt. That's all you can ask for, man, when you're booking something like this.
No doubt. And Jaxie?
Yeah, I gave this 4 stars too.
I gave it 4 1/4. Predictions, like we say, James went for DIY and Awesome Truth. Jaxie went for Bait Done and Judgment Day. Monty went Awesome and DIY. Gina went Awesome and DIY. So we all get a point apart from Jaxie. Jaxie on 1, the rest on 0. Up next, Andrade and Rey Mysterio versus Santos Escobar and Dominic Mysterio. Fuck's sake. Anyway, Angel, Berto, and Electra Lopez may not have been competing, but they had new gear and some cool looks to accompany Santos Escobar and Dominic to the ring. Mysterio, Andrade, and the LWO also decked out in special gear as well. Of course, the LWO and Legado eventually got involved at ringside, and Wild did the same slingshot movie he'd done a few times before. 2 men in Marslow, or 2 fat cunts, as I'm calling them, but again, not because they're fat, just because they're cunts, show up. I'm over it. And they prevented Dom from using the chair, allow Ray to hit a 619, followed by a splash to Escobar for a win. Fucking fat cunt luchadors. Monty, take this for me, will you, please?
Yeah, man, I think this was cool. This was a fun match. I think, Andrade and Ray did like a electric chair, like crossbody thing that I'd never seen before in my life. So it was cool to kind of see them have surprisingly good chemistry. Like James, obviously, who's not over it, mentioned, the finish is probably my biggest maybe drawback. But honestly, because it's in Philadelphia and because I know who those guys are, the NFL football players, for the Philadelphia Eagles, didn't really know that at the time until they took the mask off. So I was like, what the hell is going on? These are the biggest LWO members I've ever seen. But then you come to find out this just is a celebrity spot. I hate when the celebrity have an effect on the match especially if they're not built to be there of any sort. It wasn't like Santos buried the Philadelphia Eagles at some point, going into this. I would have appreciated if I would have understood that Ray was big friends with the Eagles. Who the hell could guess that? But it is what it is. I can't complain. I think it served its purpose of just being a feel good moment. When the hell is Ray going to put his son over? That's pretty much the only question I got coming from it. I guess we have to wait for another Mania.
He's never going to do it.
Right.
He's not going to fucking do it. He's not going to fucking do it. And I hate the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, is that what they're called? I hate them.
Yeah, that's what they are.
I've never seen them. I hate them.
Yeah, man. So that's just like how we feel about this one. Why don't you ask people who predicted right about this? I bet they feel a little bit better.
Gina, Len. I mean, again, Monty makes a great point. When is Ray going to put Dom over? Because this is twice to be fucked by him. Your faults.
You would think that would have happened at WrestleMania on one of the biggest stages, no? Like, again, don't get me wrong. I'm happy I got the prediction right. I'm happy with that prediction. It does feel like, right, you kind of need to put your son over now, Ray. Although Ray is just still smashing it as a wrestler at his age and everything that he's doing. He's still smashing it. But yeah, there is, the time is coming now. We thought him separating off and going into the Judgment Day, that was going to be, Ray's moment to elevate him. And instead he decided to go to a different show altogether so that he wasn't crossing paths with his son. We're waiting on you, Ray, to put your son over. So please do that next time. But obviously I'm happy this time around because I went with the right prediction.
Yeah, but imagine that, conversation and Dom's like, Dad, you are going to put me over this year? And Ray's like, yeah, of course I am. And then you get to the night and he's like, I got you again.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
But Andrade looked good, right?
Andrade looked wicked.
Andrade looked great. Yeah.
I've always wanted to see Andrade and Santos kind of mix it up. And to see him at WrestleMania was pretty cool. Even though he didn't really have a lot. Yeah. You know what I mean? But still.
Yeah, I want him to do more. We'll see. Hopefully this year, big things for both sides.
Yeah. And can also say with Electra. Anyway.
Right on.
Yeah. Jaxie, what were your thoughts on everybody involved? Again, this turned into the kind.
I think
celebrities will get involved, and also a question as well. Why does Dom always wrestle with shirts? Have you noticed that?
I think he's trying to make it a thing, but it's just not a thing. Stop trying to make it a thing, Dom. It's not going to work. Yeah, I have to agree with Monty in terms of I felt a little bit let down by the finish, even though I picked up a win here. I felt a bit let down by the finish because, quite frankly, and I know I get it, they're in Philadelphia. It makes sense from that point of view, but only for that city. Like any other person watching from another company, this means F all. Do you know what I mean? And so, like, for me, even when they did reveal themselves and everyone's like screaming because they know who they are, I'm sat here like, well, I still don't know how these two are connected to the LWO. Like, I don't get why you got involved, you know? So for me, I just didn't really, it didn't work for me, the ending.
We were both pretty confused because we had no idea who the fuck they were.
It's
They didn't look
waiting for Michael
Mexican.
Cole to tell us.
How they didn't look? How do we know?
No, I think like, you know, I had to wait until Michael Cole actually said who they were and not just their names, because he was like, that's so and so so and so, and I was like, yeah, who the fuck are they? Are you gonna say what they do? Or like it was
I
just
knew
like
when
it
I
was
read
just-
Monty.
I
Who
just-
the fuck are these cunts? And
I
then-
thought it was
Right.
like,
Yeah, you asked me.
Out first.
when he actually said, oh, they play for the Philadelphia Eagles, I just went, but why are they getting involved in this match? Like,
Yeah.
I just don't think that celebrities need to ever get involved in a match when you've never wrestled in your life. I'm sorry, just stay out of it. Like, it doesn't make sense. No one really knows a connection unless you're from that actual city. And to me, it takes away from the impact of the win. You know, from my point of view, I don't think that Ray and that needed the additional help of these two NFL players.
No.
Like, just
or again,
like
why didn't, if you're gonna
yeah.
have everybody involved, why not have like a huge tag match with everybody, even like with Vega and Lopez involved in
Yeah,
it?
you could have just had like a big, massive mixed tag match, and like that's what I predicted was going to be the case, that we were going to get LWO versus Legado del
Yeah.
Fantasma with the girls involved, and I think that would have been a much better storytelling, to be honest. Because what did we get out of this? Yet again, Ray's not put the sun over. That's what we've all taken from this right now.
Yep.
I would even
Mon-
accepted like a heel promo from like Dom at the beginning, trashing Philadelphia and the Eagles. But then you could at least say they got mad in the crowd and jumped in or something. Like,
so much
it
more
just felt
sense.
so random without that.
Yeah,
when they talked
it just
about their
makes it look-
strategy on kickoff, they didn't mention the fact that, you know, anything like that, or this is what's going to happen to us. So it's just,
Right.
I don't know, man. For WrestleMania, I'm sure people are happy.
Somebody was, I guess.
Yeah. What would you score it out of 5, Monty?
Again, I thought it was a good showcase up until that point. So 3.5, 3.75, 3.5 probably where I go.
Gina?
I'll give it a 3.5. Just because
Jackson?
Andrade.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's cool. I'm just saying just because of Andrade, I'm going to give it a 3.5.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3.5 as well. Again, I do think that there was a strong influence of like me getting all in my feels when I saw Zelina and Andrade reunited. I'm really sorry, but it really excited me to see them hug on screen. They've probably been like friends off of screen for so long and seen each other all the time, but we have not seen these two together for so long. And they really were such a solid icon when they first were together in WWE. So that actually kind of helped take the bitterness out of my mouth at not knowing who these people were. That helped with the finish, you know? So 3.5.
Well, predictions, Monty and James went the heels, the girls went the faces, so it means Gina's on 3, the rest is on 2. Then we get an
hi
epic
guys.
video.
Hi down here on number 2. Hi.
We get an epic video for brother versus brother. Now, Gina, I'll ask you, because you've been betrayed, of course, by your twin. The promotional, like I said, the build, but having them back to back and this whole video just chills, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. The video package just helped get you hyped for this match again and showing you sort of the betrayal of the twin. And even if you're not a twin and you have a sibling, like I think anyone could resonate with just sort of that betrayal and just having the person that you thought was closest to you turn on you. So it really hit you in the feels when you saw this video package.
Yeah, and I'm sorry for what happened to you. Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso. Then rapper Lil Wayne came out to play Jay to the win, called the greatest rapper of all time. Yeah, whatever. Jay hit a suicide dive for Jimmy, even got to the ring to get the action started early. Took a bit for Jimmy to regain his footing, but once he did, he hit a few running hip strikes to channel their father, Rikishi. The majority of this match was about telling a story rather than putting on the most exciting sequences. And Jay and Jimmy did a good job of selling most of the emotional moments, and the crowd woke up quite a bit when Jimmy started begging for Jay for forgiveness. Jay picked him up and hugged him before Jimmy popped him with a super kick and hit an Uso splash for also 2 count. Once Jay recovered, he hit his own Uso splash after a spear and got the pin. I think not having Solo Sikoa involved was the right call. Jaxie, what were your thoughts on this?
I mean, ultimately, this was more of a storytelling match rather than a wrestling match for me in terms of what they put on in the ring in terms of wrestling was great, but it's like their standard usual thing. Like things hadn't been really changed up to make the match itself spectacular, but the emotions involved were just kind of all there that had you emotionally invested and that carried the match, you know? I mean, just like you said, I think that moment where you see Jimmy break, and like Jay pulls him in for that hug and it was just like a cop out and stuff. You know, those sorts of things, they play on the siblings, you know, emotions, like, and it's really hard as any sibling to watch them go at it in the ring. So I can only imagine the adrenaline that was running through the both of them. Ultimately, I felt like this match had the right outcome. It had, like, Jimmy and Jay just did a great job at getting everyone so emotionally invested in the match, and I think overall it was just a great package. It was what we expected to happen, you know.
Without a doubt, the crowd's so behind Jay as well. But Gina, I'll ask you. But did this live up to kind of the heavy expectations? Because, like I said, there's so much story going to this for a first time kind of meeting, you know.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say this, okay, but I was slightly disappointed with this match. Again, I was really hyped for it. On our pod that we did just before WrestleMania, I was so hyped and I, was bigging it up and saying these boys have probably wrestled each other countless times. So I'm sure that I get it with what my sister was saying in that it was a storytelling more of a match than it was a wrestling match. But I really did have higher expectations for how this match was going to go between them both, and I kind of felt a little disappointed by it. I just felt like maybe there was not more that they could have done, but in a way they could have done more. I can imagine they've done so many crazy matches off camera just practicing with each other, and I kind of thought you didn't really bring that for me, not enough anyway. So I was slightly disappointed by the match, sorry to say.
No. But again, Monty, this is an excellent point Gina makes, because sometimes, even though, the amount of fault since day one, there's sometimes the chemistry with a tag team facing each other takes a little while, doesn't really work at all. Think of the Hardy Boys, you know?
I was just about to say, I mean, if you think about the brother versus brother format, everybody bring up WrestleMania 25, but I remember a lot of people being very underwhelmed with that, and the couple of times they really tried to feud with each other, it kind of fell flat. So, like you mentioned, it's just as much as they may be blood or they may have a certain amount of chemistry as a tag team, that does not necessarily mean it's going to translate into them being opponents. I think Owen and Brett don't have to worry about anything, at least for the next however long, until we get another brother versus brother match, because their match is still by far the best. Brother versus brother, situation. But yeah, man, I'm like you, Gina. I mean, it was definitely disappointing. I was way more disappointed, I think, the night of, and maybe that was because of, like, not only just us hyping it up, but just being invested. I came away from it initially saying this is one of the first times I ever saw a video package that was genuinely better than the match to me. Because I liked the story. It was a simple story. I got it. But I thought they could have did more around the big spots. Because I think that's, like you mentioned, Jay, they woke up at certain moments. And I think that's because everybody understood the story. But it was just the in-between where we're just throwing super kicks until somebody falls, or we're just going to spam the same move. And I'm just like, you mean tell me they didn't come up with any thing creative. And I guess when I watched it back the second time, I kind of was like, okay, I think I kind of see what's going on here. You know, it wasn't the fight that I was hoping it was going to be, because they both truthfully probably don't want to fight each other. You know, you don't really get that perspective when you're watching it the night of. You kind of just like, damn, what's going to take them to get into that gear where they actually trying to hurt each other? And I think that was probably the biggest thing missing. I think with the storyline, with the heat that we had, I was hoping Jimmy came out and was way more vicious towards Jay to kind of, you know, whether he won or not, I thought it would have added something to it to where he kind of really want to hurt his brother. But when you look back at it and you watch it the second time, or when I watched it the second time, I really started to understand, okay, they're kind of reluctantly doing this. Jay doesn't want to fight him, obviously. And even though Jim is manipulating him, he wants to win, but I don't think he wants to hurt his brother. And I think you get that when you really pay attention. But when I was watching it live the first time, I was just like, I'm like, yeah, no, this is really, really lackluster. I was really hoping they came up with something. And then the bells and whistles. Maybe I was in the mood for what's going to happen the next night, but I was like, you ain't tell me, all right, Solo, fine. Solo staying out of it makes sense. No, not even a Rikishi entrance after the match to make them hug or anything. Like, it was over quick after the finish, and it just was like, it just fell flat. Like you mentioned, like the video package hyped it up to be this epic clash, and the story had been great to this point, and then to get there and it just be like that, and Jimmy lose, and it's just nothing. I'm just like, oh, well, okay, you know.
I think what's interesting though is, like you talk about now, you've just talked about that and what we've had since then. You know, I mean, Jackson,
that added to it.
You spoke about like the Usos wanting to get back together. This proved that.
Right.
I mean, with Jimmy and Jay, there's still love there. Like we said, they didn't go rip each other's throats out, so to speak.
Exactly. Again, I go back to what I say, because I do really very much agree with Monty and my sister's stance on this match. I think I was trying to be more understanding as to maybe where they were trying to come from in this match, but I think that Monty actually summed it up very, very well. Like, there was still a reluctance from either side to really want to do damage in this match, you know, to either one. It was almost like they were both fighting because either of them, their priorities both were in different places, and they couldn't seem to, you know, be cohesive as normal. And this is the best way to handle it, like to duke it out. So it just kind of felt like a very much of a quick, short, one and done match, when I feel like, again, the ending should have had like a lot more emotional investment, considering what you put into the video package, what you put into like the match from the emotional standpoint. So it was a bit disappointing, because I really did actually think we were going to see Rikishi come out, like maybe like the match was going to end and these two were still fighting and not getting off of one another, the bells ringing like constantly, and Rikishi comes out to just knock their heads together and be like, stop it, done. You know, that's what I was kind of expecting, something like that. There was a level of disappointment, because I feel like they could have done so much more with this match. And again, it goes back to sort of that pressure of whether or not sibling versus sibling could be a good match or not. Because, I mean, again, I'm not comparing, but if I saw, well, we've seen Penta versus Ray, and I think that's been a great match. I don't think we've seen Nick versus Matt, but I feel like that would be a great match. So I'm just a bit disappointed, because I did expect more from the Usos. I expected them to come out and be like, let's show them exactly what we can do, you know? So there was a disappointment from a wrestling standpoint, but great emotional investment up until it finished, and then they were like, okay, done.
So what would you score out of 5 then, Jackson?
I'm going to give this a 4.25. I think it was like, in terms of emotional investment, it was there. It still left me intrigued to want to know what's going to happen between them over the next Raw and SmackDown, you know? So there was still a level of intriguement there, but yeah, just very disappointed with the match overall. It could have been so much better.
Gina?
Yeah, do you know what? I'm gonna give it 3 3/4.
Monty?
Yeah, I saw on the internet somebody said like it's the worst match they ever seen. Like, I don't think it was as bad as a lot of people are making it sound, but definitely I'm only gonna give it 3. Like, it wasn't really much there other than the story. And maybe that's a little harsh, but it was definitely the worst thing in my opinion on both cards.
3 3/4. Predictions, who went Jay, apart from Monty, who went Jimmy. So that super kick and Uso splash from Jimmy at that point was your best hope, wasn't it? You know, but again, you had to take your chance, didn't you?
The closest he
look
got.
what happens at Mania.
Yeah. It was the closest he got, man.
So Monty's on 2, Jaxie and I are on 3, and Gina is on 4. Up next, Damage Control versus Jade Cargill, Naomi, and Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, Naomi had an epic entrance. They had a special elevator and introduction. Blair was impressive as ever with displays of power and agility. When Cargill finally tagged in the match, the crowd lit up and she went after everyone in the opposing team. She easily caught Sane in midair and hit a backbreaker. She picked up the win for a team in a match that was good, but maybe shorter than expected. Maybe a few more minutes would have been more memorable. But, I mean, my God, Gina, just gorgeous. You know, the face team, as soon as her entrance to the end, was just like, this is gods, or goddesses as it was.
Honestly, it gave me chills. Like you just said, the entrances alone were just off the chart. They were just amazing. You know, even the heel team had a really lovely entrance. But just, I just want to touch back on what we all discussed on the previous pod in terms of being, you know, a mixed race girl. And I grew up, there was nobody like Jade or Naomi elevated to such a position in the WWE that I would watch. And I felt super emotional watching it because I kind of put myself back into my, you know, little 9-year-old self watching Naomi, Jade and Bianca come out, and just knowing that other little girls just like me are seeing this and thinking I can do that, whereas I didn't have that same thought when I was a child. I just felt so emotional and just so excited to see these 3 queens elevated and just put in this great match. So it was a very emotional sort of feeling for me, just on a personal level, but I was super happy for all of the wrestlers because this match was lit.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it didn't have to be that long. I mean, Jaxie, again, with Cargill, I mean, the pop Jade got was great, and she looked,
she looked stunning. I mean, all of them looked stunning. And do you know what I noticed? I really enjoyed this aspect and never noticed it until the very end when they raised their, when all 3 of them were stood in the ring and raising their hands. But, you know, you had Naomi that was all in gold. You had Jade that was all in silver. And then Bianca Belair was both in gold and silver. And it just looked great.
Yes.
The way they walked down the ring, they just looked like these beautiful queens, you know, like coming to stomp their piece. I was slightly disappointed at how short this match was. Don't get me wrong, Jade looked great, and that was the impact that they wanted to have for her first match in WWE. And Naomi and Bianca both had their standout moments where they were like, you know, doing their own thing too. But I felt like it was a bit too short. You know, considering you've got that they actually are still facing the Kabuki Warriors, who are the tag champions, I thought they would have let it play out a little bit longer. I thought we might be able to see a little bit more from Jade. Not saying that she didn't, you know, perform when she did. She actually did what she needed to do, and she sat these girls down. 1, 2, 3, done. It's great, but I just, you know, I would have liked it to have gone like an extra 5 minutes. You know, just give Jade more time in the ring, give them more time in the ring. But that is a really like minuscule complaint that I have about this match. This match was one of my favorites of the night, not just because of like what it represented for, you know, loads of young black boys, black girls in that are fans of this industry growing up, but also just from an overall standpoint of view of diversity. Like you had like Dakota Kai from New Zealand, you've got the Japanese Kairi and Asuka. The mixture and the diversity nowadays, it's just amazing to see them being able to perform on this level, on this caliber, on the grandest stage of them all. So yeah, kudos to all 6 women that were part of this match. This is one of my favorites of the night.
All 6 will hold, arguably, you know, the Women's Championship again in their careers or for the first time. And again, Monty, it's great, you know, we talk about how much wrestling can change or not, but when you think about where Kari was, where Jade was and Naomi were kind of last year, and now a year later, all at WrestleMania, and of course, like Cargill, and as Jaxie said, you know, I've got no problem in building up like undefeated streak or whatever it is, but again, we're going to have to see more at some point. But again, it's that introduction, man, was just fucking wow.
Yeah, I mean, she's a force of nature. I think people are making too big of a deal out of how she's being booked. I don't know what the hell anybody expected. If you thought they were going to debut Jade and she was going to go out here and they're going to put in a 35-minute match in her first few matches, you're out of your damn mind. So I really, I've seen a lot of people making a big deal about how long what Jade does. I'm just like, yeah, give it time, guys. Obviously, she's going to have longer situations depending on who she's fighting. So in this situation, I also thought this team that they built is such a dream team. Like Bianca doesn't lose much at all anyway. Naomi is still just not really returning, but she's also trying to build herself back up and is a former women's champion. And then you have Jade, who just is obviously a superstar, like you mentioned, didn't even really spend much time in the ring. But as soon as she's in there, the entire complexion of the match. I love the reaction that Dakota, Oscar, and Kyrie gave when she got in the ring. You could tell they knew, like, this is getting real now. So, and like you mentioned, all 6 women look great. All of them deserve a bark. Roof. You know what I mean? They all look awesome. I love the gear from both sides. I even thought that even though it was short and they are tag team champions, they actually came up. They made the most out of the 9 or 10 minutes they had because the miss spot kind of makes you understand. Okay, dang, okay, she got missed it. Then Bianca hit her with a braid. Like, all right, everybody's gonna get taken out if they just go scorched earth like that. And then Dakota was left all alone with Jade. So it was a reasonable loss. And when they put this match together, I immediately knew this is just a showcase of this like super team in a sense, because you can't tell me there's a weak link on that team when you got the veteran experience and the championship pedigree of Naomi, and then you have Bianca, who's unstoppable, even though we all know what she stands for as one of the faces, and then you have Jade, who is again just just she. So far, they are building her up like an entity, and I feel like if they continue to keep going, the matches are going to get more and more competitive. I think they're just going to ramp it up, take their time, and I don't think they need to rush anything with Jay. She is going to be money. So I thought this was great. This was great.
Yeah, I think also Naomi, even from her time away, has improved so much. And again, we'll talk about what happened with SmackDown afterwards, but just her work in the arm and stuff like this is fantastic. Also, Bianca Belair is now got the longest, or matched the longest undefeated streak at WrestleMania, I do believe, 4-0 alongside RVD. And again, we could chuckle and go 4-0, but before we know, if you think about what Becky Lynch has had, 9 or 10 WrestleManias, 10-0.
Yeah.
But again, Jay Cargill, Bianca Belair undefeated streak. I mean, like I said, sometimes writes itself. Gina, this is good times ahead, it seems. What would you score this match out of 5?
Yeah, definitely good times ahead. Do you know what? I'm going to give this 4 3/4.
Yeah, cool. Jaxie?
I just also want to say, Oscar, I still love you, hun, but something needs to change. Something needs to change, babe, because you are on a massive losing streak at WrestleMania, and we need to do something about that. So let's talk. But yeah, this match was really, really awesome. I think I'd probably just go with the same 4 3/4. I really enjoyed this match. I watched it twice. I probably would watch it a third time.
Yeah, Monty.
Yeah, I give it 4 1/4. It was awesome. Like for all the reasons you guys mentioned, very important stuff. We're gonna look back and we're probably gonna think about, this is a special, special time. And we're gonna look back a few years and be like, man, look at where, particularly the 3 with Naomi, Bianca, and Jade. We're gonna really look back and be like, this is the beginning of something special. But and as far as Oscar goes, trust me, it's gonna hopefully that's another angle you can pay off someday. One day she might pick up her biggest win ever at WrestleMania. Hopefully it's for a title. And who knows what they decide when they decide to do that. I think that can also be paid off. So yeah, good stuff, man. Good stuff all around. Can't wait to see what happens next. 4 1/4 is where I stand.
Yeah, I gave it 4 1/4. Predictions: all Cargill, Monty on 3, James and Jackson on 4, Gina on 5. Gunther versus Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship next. Not only his wife and his fucking kid, that Chad Gable and fucking Kevin Owens was there to wish Sami Zayn luck before he made his way to the ring. Now, Monty, I know sometimes you lose before you win, but fuck me, man. Can we do live predictions so I can change?
Yeah, it was no way you watched him go through that tunnel. After talking to his family, there's no way you should have known what was going to happen, man. But you know what? I give him props, though, because once the match started, Gunther is so damn dominant. He almost had me like, damn, maybe they will make him fail in front of his wife.
Well, like you said, though, Zayn did strike first and hit several chops to the corner of the ring general, and he seemed to surprise Gunther with his aggression, but one German suplex later completely killed his momentum. And, you know, Sami Zayn goes back a long way to his days in even NXT, and I remember him beating kind of Neville, and he's a natural babyface. But up against a monster heel like Gunther, he became an even bigger underdog, with the crowd heavily behind him and chanting several times to show support. And they structured this match exactly how would you expect, with the champion dominating for a few minutes at a time, Zayn make a comeback, and then Gunther would find a way to counter him and begin the cycle all over again. Both men have several visible bruises and bumps, but the surprising part was how much redder Gunther's chest was than Zayn's, because the Austrian is usually one given the welts, I suppose. But it was physical, and of course the family at ringside as well made it even more emotional. Zayn survived some of Gunther's biggest moves, including a massive clothesline and 2 brutal power bombs. That second power bomb, I was cheering it as free. Not as close as Clash, but again, I was like, you can't do 2 power bombs. Still managing to frustrate the champion and me. And again, when Gunther started talking trash to Sami Zayn's wife, I thought, no, Gunther, concentrate. This is impartial. But again, don't toy with your opponent. Look at what Zayn's doing. And then we saw something incredible, which is that top rope super brain buster. A lot of people saying it was like, you know, a botch, whoever it is. But no, we've seen El Generico use that move before. Hit 2 haluva kicks. And your new Intercontinental Champion, Sami fucking Zayn. Monty, Gunther fucked around too much. And it's not the last time I'm going to say it this weekend.
Yeah, man, with those big splashes, he just kept looking at his wife, and I was just like, yeah, man, you playing a dangerous game. And I love it, though, because he's a guy who talks about the ring being sacred. He's a guy who's just so focused on dominating so far in every scenario he usually in. So to kind of watch him kind of go out of character because he just kind of wanted to break the wheel of Sami in front of his family, it was a great kind of excuse for someone as dominant, as good, because you can make the case that on a different day, Gunther, if he's focused, he would, kill Sami. And even with Sami and his confidence and getting the pep talk going into it, and then like you mentioned, the crowd waking up with the match and just the way Sami is, like Sami, like you mentioned, all the way from NXT days, he's been one of the best at being an underdog. He sells perfectly. He, just like you said, the things he go through. And I think watching this match showed me, and I thought about what he had been through from winning the tag team titles at the last Mania. And it just, everything kind of hit me all at once and saying, you know what? Gable, yeah, you can make the case Gable deserved this spot, but you know what? Sami needed it too. I'm not going to act like he didn't. His trajectory from where he was, like you mentioned, challenging a Roman, and just how over he was, and then how kind of quiet it got after they traded Kevin away, and he started to lose his confidence. And I just like how they built him back up. And even if it's not the world title right now, him beating Gunther, him doing something, ending 2 of the longest title reigns the way he has, is something that it's a notch in his belt, something he can always come back to. And you can just talk about how special his performance is. And we know how, like you mentioned, if you watch Sami as long as we have, you know how special he can be. So I kind of wasn't really worried about these two once the match started, because I kind of have been spoiled, but it was even better than I imagined these two would be. And the vertical brain buster, way back from the El Generico days, he had not, and that's a beautiful, I love the fact that it's something he had not used ever in his run, basically, in WWE. And to bring that back at the time he did it, the way he did it, oh man, it was perfect. It was just a perfect spot, perfect way to get the big fella woozy and set up the 2 Galuva kicks that he did. Again, like I said, and Gunther still looked like a mom. Like, again, he's someone who can lose a belt like he did, like that. Like you said, not on top of his game, and you can't tell me you came away from this saying that Gunther isn't still one of the baddest motherfuckers there is, because that's just how good he still looked in defeat, and that's why, like, Gunther, that's why he's been a champion more than he hasn't been so far since he's been signed, because he's just that good. Sammy's great fighting underneath. And man, this is beautiful, man. I really love this match.
Yeah, I mean, Jackson is like Monty said there as well. I mean, we talk about Gunther in a minute, but first with Sami Zayn, it's like, for me as well, it's like, he's got to be the best underdog. Maybe bar Rey Mysterio in the business. You could argue maybe ever, but Sami just gives you so much emotion. And again, it's a surprise. Gunther and Zayn had a great match, but again, it was the emotion as well as what happened with the moves.
Yeah, I think that they had done like a great job in building this match in the first place, and sort of like the emotional investment, especially when you're watching kind of like even Chad Gable training Sami, and like the self-doubt that's playing out. I think that Monty really like described this match well. I don't think that this did much damage to Gunther. I think like I'm just ready for Gunther to be in sort of a main title picture at this point. And yeah, like I think overall, I felt like this was a feel good match. Like to see Sami finally pick up that win after weeks of self doubt, losing his confidence over himself and even his own belief, being able to do this. It was a great showcase. I think that the match went really well. I think both Sami and Gunther worked really well together, and I liked that Gunther just came across so dominant. As Monty said, I feel like there were points where I genuinely was like, actually, they might just let Gunther retain this and just keep him on this flex. So yeah, really, really good showcase between the both of them. I quite personally, I felt like it would have been a really great payoff to have had Chad Gable in this position. But that's not to take away from Sami's win, especially considering the fact that when you look at where he was this time last year at WrestleMania, facing off against Roman, Sami also deserved this. So I was incredibly pleased with the match, with the win. Overall, this just was feel good.
Yeah, like you said, last year win the titles, the year before with Johnny Knoxville, for fuck's sake. So Sami's moving along, and again, 4-time Intercontinental Champion now, and we hope maybe the next step. But I mean, Gina, speaking of the next step, Gunther now is not going to look back, much like the NXT UK Championship. The Intercontinental title, he's lost that. Now he's ready. He's, and as Monty said, if I can quote, he is a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, 100% agree there. I feel like this loss has not hurt Gunther at all. In a way, it's kind of made us all realize as fans, Gunther has elevated himself now. As much as I wouldn't have been mad if he retained, because I think they've been booking him really well to make him look like this really, really difficult obstacle for someone to beat. But I also think that he also has elevated himself so much that he's even gone past his own international belt, and he needs to kind of move on to the next stage, which will be in the main title picture. So yeah, I don't think that this loss has hurt him in any way. I do agree with my sis when we were watching this together and we saw Sami win it. I did say to my sister, like, I feel a little bitter, just maybe about 5% bitter, because I really felt like Chad Gable getting that win and winning that belt off of Gunther would have made the story feel so complete. But I'm also not mad at Sami getting it either, just for the same reasons my sister just said, So at the end of the day, it was a great match, and I don't think the match harmed either of them. I think it elevated both Sami and Gunther.
Without doubt. Monty, so what would you score it out of 5 then?
Oh yeah, man. For me, this is perfect, man. This is great. Like, again, I came away from it actually looking forward to Sami versus Gable. So I forgot completely all about that Gable should have probably been the one to do it, because that's how much Sami had me into it. So, like, again, this was great for me. This was perfect.
Jaxie, score out of 5?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that this was great. I'm going to give it a 4.25. It was a really good match. Great showcase between both men.
Gina?
Yeah, I'll give it 4.25 as well.
I give it 4 3/4. Really, really good stuff. I would think if I'd gone to Zayn, it might have got a 5. Predictions, all Zayn apart from this cunt. So it means James and Monty on 4, Jackson 5, Gina on 6, and the main event. Of course, the main event, night 1, termed the stipulation for night 2. The Rock and Roman Reigns took on Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, the biggest tag match of all time, apparently. There was huge build for this. I mean, I think it was more than 30 minutes between the end of Zayn's match and the beginning of this one. But who cares? This is what WrestleMania is all about. Rollins' ring jacket was made from enough cloth to sail a medium-sized boat, and The Rock's entrance was awesome. WWE made a big production out of it, and of course the Brahma Ball on fire. I mean, Monty, again, we speak about it, but no one does it better with WWE when it comes to stages like this.
Yeah, man. It's just I again, like you mentioned, like you almost come away underwhelmed if they did almost anything less, you know. And like you mentioned, presenting your superstars and everything. I think, and I'll talk about it when we talk about the actual details of the match. But like this felt like 4 of the biggest stars that they really put them on a pedestal to me. If you ask me, the way they just kind of felt with the entrances and just the way. You know, like you mentioned, the way The Rock looks, like it was just perfect, and like you said, you just can't do wrong. Like they, if it's anything, like I said, even when the wrestling wasn't good, if it's anything you can count on, is that just looking at them and feeling like this is some big time shit, especially for a main event for WrestleMania.
Yeah, and Roman might have come out after The Rock, but the crowd were fully behind the People's Champion. All 4 men stood in a stare down after the bell for a long time before Rollins and Reigns decided to start for their teams. Tribal Chief took the visionary down quickly, talked some trash about ending the match fast. When Rose tagged in, he tried to take control, but quickly found himself on defence. Rollins tagged back in and locked up with The Rock for his first match in 8 years. Rocky easily pushed him down, but the visionary just smiled and out-wrestled the Great One for a quick moment just to show off. First several minutes were quick exchanges and posturing, but things picked up a bit when Rose and The Rock were in the ring together. The Great One and Rollins ended up fighting in the crowd, but Rock told the ref he would fire him if he counted him out in his role as a member of WWE owner. I mean, Gina, that is a fucking boss move by The Rock there, isn't it? You know, like, oh, countouts,
Yeah, definitely. But do we expect anything different from The Rock? I mean, I in a way, I kind of expected him to be carried out at one point.
Well, from that point forward, The Rock started cheating without worrying about any consequences. And for a long time, this was all Rock and Reigns decimating Rollins and Rhodes. We did get some really good sequences, though. The People's Elbow into the Cody Cutter looked good. And Jaxie, I think Reigns spearing The Rock will be looked at some point, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it will be looked at sooner rather than later as well. I mean, right there and then, I was like, I'm marking that moment. That's going to have some significance at some point. Like, this is definitely not the type of thing that's a one and done thing. And after Cody just managed to do that, yeah, we got to see that there's going to be some consequences at some point.
Yeah, we get a double
He
pedigree
sold
spot
it like
as well.
death too, by the way.
Yeah. Well, when Rhodes put the Great One through the table with rock bottom, and then Reigns speared Rollins through the barricade in a great sequence as well. When Cody went to end Roman,
Wow,
but a
that's
belt
such a great
shot.
thing.
It really, really was. Cody went to end Roman, but a belt shot and then a spear, a tag to the Rock, led to the end of rock bottom and People's Elbow later. And Sunday's main event will be Bloodline Rules. And we ended with the same shot of Cody as we did WrestleMania 39. So, Jaxie, you're up first. Like I said, the closing sequence as well, with everything. And I was still shocked The Rock did pin Cody, even though, as me and Monty argued, someone did have to get pinned, and the chances were.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like it was going to be more so Cody taking up the pin here, but that is, again, to do with, like, sort of what predictions I had for going into night 2 for both, like, Cody and Seth's matches. Overall, this was a great match. I think all 4 men looked so good. I think that there was just, like, so much going on. I think it went much longer than it needed to, but it didn't feel like it at the time when you're watching it, you know? It's only until after the match, you're actually like, that actually went really long. And I watched
Do you
it
know
twice.
how long it actually went? And again, you're bang on there. But this was the second longest main event in WWE history. And you can
Like,
say that the
so
other one was a
was it an
6
hour?
hour. Yeah, it was an hour Iron Man match.
It was an hour, wasn't it? Like,
Yeah.
Jesus. I did feel it at the end. Like, when you actually finish watching the match, you're like, geez, a lot happened, you know? So yeah, like this was definitely a great match. And I think it really set up the scene for what night two was going to be like. So there was like a lot of anticipation going into night two straight from the end of this match. It did what it needed to do, and it was great.
Yeah, literally, we did see like the equivalent of them not going for the head, and seeing the consequences there. But again, Gina, a couple of things. Those who didn't watch the Hall of Fame might have been confused with The Rock's title, thinking, when did he win that? And also, I think The Rock needs a bleep machine, but considering he's been away for 8 years, he looked fantastic.
Well, I just think that, like, if WWE don't want the swearing, then you need to tell your wrestlers to stop swearing, because it's really annoying, to be honest. As a fan, just hearing beep every 2 seconds. Like, I can lip read, bruv. I know he just called Cody a motherfucker, okay? I can lip read. I saw that. So it is a bit annoying when they do that, and I hope that when they flip over to Netflix, like, that actually will stop, because I'm over it. But yeah, I still enjoyed the match, and I love heel Rock. I think he had so much fun playing with this. He really did.
Yeah, I mean, when you consider as well, it's his 4th decade of Mania matches. And Monty, as you were masturbating, only one man can make Saturday feel bigger than Sunday at the time, and that is The Rock. And I think he showed out, and I think the match, yes, a little bit long, but did everything it had to, like we talk about, set up night 2.
Yeah, man, and like you mentioned, it was long. It definitely was long, but I can't sit here and be mad at that when he first announced his comeback. The amount most people assumed, because we had been programmed with all of the part timers and all of the stuff that we had seen for years go down. A lot of people assumed he was only gonna show up, do this, do a promo, pop up for the match. A lot of people had jokes about him getting hurt in 5 minutes and all that type of stuff. And he went out there, and whether he was involved with the entire 40 minutes or not, he still, like you mentioned, looked great and was very present throughout the match for the entire 40 plus minutes. And it was a lot of celebrities, a lot of people who I know do not follow wrestling regularly, who were in that crowd, and they were in that crowd night one to see The Rock. And whether people like to admit that or not, that means something. When your box office like that, where you can get mainstream eyes, that is always going to be, valued at a high rate. And whether people like to admit it or not, the final boss, The Rock, the character, everything that he brings was all a positive that kind of added to this main event, even if the match was mostly just fine and wasn't too special. But to be honest, I can't really blame him too much, because you can only go so far, to be honest, because everybody except The Rock got another match.
The thing is, as well, is people will complain, Monty, and it'll be like, his last match was 6 seconds. This one's 45 minutes. People are not happy either way. Like,
either way it go, exactly. If he just pop up and rock bottom somebody, you're mad. If he goes out here to give you for the second longest match in Mania history, you're mad. So it's like, at the end of the day, fuck him. You're not going to be able to please some people for some reason. But I was very, very proud and happy, because again, this is one of the greatest of all time, giving you everything he has, being fully committed to his role and going out there and wrestling a great match and looking pretty good. Because again, like you mentioned, not only has it been 8 years since his last time he got physical, he's 54 years old now, man, 55. I know we're spoiled. We saw Sting do amazing stuff, but everybody ain't Sting, okay?
I didn't see The Rock dive off any shit.
Right, and you never will, because you wouldn't have saw 29-year-old Rock dive off it. That's the thing I think people forget. Like, do you really think you're going to see Rock pull out a 450? He never did it in his prime, so why would he do it now? But anyway, again, he was incredible for what they needed him to do. And then he was very giving. He was selling his ass off. Trust me, I know an old guy who came back who was never putting over the young guys like that. Cherry, Mr. Hogan was not selling like that when he came back in that 2000 run and all of that. He could barely move, not to be fair. But you know what I mean? Like, so, again, I'm just very appreciative to everything he gave to this build and everything he gave in this match. And the fact that he was the only one there that didn't have another match coming, I thought they really gave us at least something that was entertaining, even if it wasn't the greatest tag team match you had ever seen in your life. It did a really good job, especially when you think about the fact that everybody except The Rock had to go out there the next night and get ready for an entirely a different match too. So it was cool.
Yeah, well, it's true. And again, one other thing I will say, and not with the main event, but I think at this point, I think WrestleMania finished at like 4:20 in the morning. And I think about 20 minutes before, I noticed the WWE on the screen had moved to the top right. And I thought it was going crazy because I didn't know how long it had been there for. And I thought it was time to call it a night. But like I said, did rewatch it the next day as well, not being distracted. And it was, like I said, such a spectacle. Jaxie, what would you rate out of 5 the main event of WrestleMania Night 1?
Yeah, I mean, this again, really great match. I'm gonna give it a 4 3/4. I thought it was really, really good, and just really set the stage, like I said, for night 2. I felt like there was a lot more anticipation going into night 2 after seeing Cody take the pin. So, yeah.
Gina?
Yeah, do you know what? I gave this a 4 3/4. It was a great match, and I was thoroughly entertained.
Monty?
Yeah, man. I gave it 4.5. Really, really good stuff. And I love how they gave something for you to note going into the next day with Self's back and leg. Like you said, Cody being pinned by The Rock. You can always come back to that and think about that in the future. And then, of course, with the Roman Rock, a little bit of miscommunication. Again, just like you mentioned, we're probably gonna look back and be like, okay, there's something there. So we'll see.
It's when Michael Cole started going, how is Drew McIntyre, not going to beat Seth? I'm like, if he doesn't beat Seth, night 2 after every one-legged man.
Right.
But yeah, 4.5 for me. Predictions, well, final scores, we all went Rock and Reigns. So it means Monty and James on 5, Jaxie on 6, and the continued queen of WrestleMania and a perfect score, Gina on 7. Well done, Gina. How you feeling?
My crown is just sat promptly on my head, and I'm patting myself on the back. It feels amazing. I told you I was going to come back with a vengeance.
Yeah, but we've still got night 2, so it's not over yet. So you've got 1 WWE point and a bonus point, obviously, for perfect score. So before night 2, bonus league now, Jaxie on 7, I'm on 10. Gina on 12, just 4 behind Monty on the bonus league. And Gina then joins me on 1 point behind Monty, who's on 2 on the WWE prediction leagues. Overall as well, we'll talk about it. I've noticed there's no longer segments in between matches. They used to do that during like WrestleMania, like the 20s and into, I think, the 30s as well. And I think this was paced very, very nicely. Match of the night, I think for me, I'm going to have to go Gunther versus Zayn. Monty, I know you did Gunther and Zayn as well, but what would be your rating out of 10 and your MVP?
Yeah, again, like you said, gotta go with. Let's see. Overall, I'll probably give the entire night 8.5, 8 3/4. I think, yeah, 8 3/4. I'll go with that. It was really, really good show. Like you mentioned, paced well. In my opinion, I thought that they did everything that needed to be done for the most part. It's pretty much the only thing that was negative to me was just, I guess, maybe just my expectations and everything that happened in the Jay and Jimmy match. And other than that, again, I just can't complain. My overall MVP, yeah, man. I think, like I said, I'll give it to The Rock. I'll give it to The Rock. Again, to me, it probably could go to others, definitely, like R-Truth and all of that. But The Rock, to me, for everything he had to give us, because at the end of the day, I leave it on this. Everything I said earlier, and plus the fact that he just don't have to do that. He did not have to do half of what he did for us to build up to that night 1. So I got to give Dwayne all the love and props. He truly do love the business, whether people believe it or not.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think that's proven as well. And Jaxie, what about you? What's your score out of 10 and your MVP?
I'm also gonna give it 8 3/4. I thought it was really well paced. I also agree. I noticed that there was no stupidly long segments showcasing wrestlers that aren't part of WrestleMania. Just for no reason, so no random reason, just helped kind of with the pacing. 8 3/4 would probably be my how far I'd go. MVP was quite hard. I'm going to give a shout out to The Rock, but my overall MVP is quite personal, and I'm going to actually go with Jade, Naomi, and Bianca, and that is really for what they represented for young boys and girls over the world, and also what it meant to me to see these three women shine. So I have to give them my MVPs of the night.
Awesome. And Gina?
Yeah, I'm gonna be the same as my sis. I'm gonna give it I'll give it a 9 actually for my rating, but my MVP, shout out to The Rock, but it's gonna be for Jade, Bianca, and Naomi, just because of how I felt watching that match. It was very emotional for me.
So just writing that down there. So yeah, again, I gave it a 9 as well. MVP, I'm going to go for, first off, I think we should mention, if I don't mention the night too, Samantha Irvin. Because, again, she showed real emotion in her work throughout the weekend. And is a worthy successor to Howard Finkel.
Actually, yeah. But, agree.
But also,
the emotion in her voice throughout, all of the matches, you could just tell there was, pride. There was, she was so proud at watching these matches and calling these people, you could feel the emotion, and I actually felt that throughout the entire night with Samantha, so shout out to her.
Yeah, without a doubt. And also, like I said, Ripley and Lynch, to go out there after what happened and start the whole weekend with a bang, really, like I said, the match as well. I'll go, like I said, Gunther. So, press conference, Byron Saxton hosting, Ray Ripley first. She spoke about a connection to Motionless in White, who performed to the ring. Going toe-to-toe with Lynch was special. Blair, Cargill, and Naomi spoke and about representation in wrestling. She reiterated comments she made on the Pivot podcast about having multiple representatives that can inspire the next generation and not just have one single representative. Again, I mean, Jaxie's kind of, and Gina's what we've been talking about, and now it's finally coming to light, which can only be a good thing. They're talking about more minority talent on the roster, and she felt she wasn't a representation, but now with Cargill and everything like that being there, and again, you're saying it, but this is what they feel as well,
Exactly. Again, this is coming from me personally, but that is not to say that there are so many other people that feel exactly the same way as us. So, again, just something that was an iconic moment that, is not going to stay in the minds of every person out there. It's not going to affect every person out there. But for those that it does, this is like a history-making moment for women, for girls, for any person of color. So, really iconic and history-making moment.
Yeah, and Cargill made an interesting point as well, saying that the first person who reached out after she signed was Bianca Belair, trying to pin them against each other, but they have their own respective purposes. And again, Gina, it's another thing that, we could have a longer conversation about, but obviously Jade Cargill signs, well, yeah, Bianca Belair, it's like, no, these two are superstars in their own right,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think, again, as you just said, it was all done in their own right. And you got to take your hat off to them because they had to persevere through probably a lot over the past year or two to even get themselves elevated to that spot. So it's just great to see.
Roman Reigns said sharing the ring with The Rock is something he's been dreaming about his entire life and did not think it was a possibility. Reigns added that's a dream to be out there with any of his relatives. But Monty, he did kick out a portal, which was brilliant. But again, Roman showing kind of real emotion again.
Yeah, man, that fight. I think again, I watched the doc on him, and you kind of got a chance. I think Pat mentioned something about him working with leukemia, and he kind of answered a question about that and mentioned how it's still in remission, but he takes he takes chemo orally and all of that. So he's been kind of he's still kind of something he's going to always kind of have to deal with. He's been dealing with that through this entire run, and ever since he's been back, and you kind of got a chance to hear Joe, hear that human side. But it's one thing I learned in the doc: the way he can flip that switch. That's how you know the tribal chief is really a part of him, because he can really go from Joe right back to the tribal chief in a heartbeat. And I think that's what you kind of got a chance to see there with him kicking that reporter out who booed him instead of acknowledging him. And I don't think they thought he was serious. And he was like, "All right, I'll leave." And it's just such a tribal chief moment. But then to answer a question normally like he did right after that, it was just great. It just, again, he's awesome at just being able to play that line of Joe and the tribal chief.
Well, that's what I found amazing about The Rock on here as well, because then The Rock came out, but it was like a behind the curtain, man. The way he was talking about kind of the way things happened and all this lot, He said the people who's in the ring room were the best. Looking back in the training for the match as well, he was sending rings to California and Hawaii. And again, when you think about like kind of Edge and being sent a ring there, it's like, or Stone Cold or any other wrestler, it's like, this is W's way of kind of getting the legend back in now. Well, we'll send you a ring, just kind of run the rope, see how it feels. Do you know what I mean? And again, it's really, really clever. He stated he's going to be making more appearances. He thinks Triple H has done done great in his role. Johnson showed up on SmackDown in September 2023. That's when plans were officially in motion for him to face Roman Reigns. But again, what he said about everybody was fantastic. And Triple H, again, didn't have much to say. Apart from Brock is not gone from WWE. He's at home. But Monty,
he's just being Brock.
But if anybody's wanted to add an hour to, the 2-hour kickoff and the 4-hour main show, this press conference was, again, exactly what we wanted.
Yeah, and I think it worked perfectly for me both nights, because I was still kind of riding the high of the show. And if you kind of get amped up like me, I know you guys kind of may have it difficult because you're 3-4 in the morning. But if you're like me and you're watching it and you don't have to be anywhere the next day, or if you're just feeling good because the show made you feel that way, these press conferences are always awesome to kind of just get that insight. Like you mentioned, I kind of picked up tidbits from each and every interview that was, like you mentioned earlier, like with Rhea, and kind of mentioning that it's like a new era from the Four Horsewomen, even though she loved all the Four Horsewomen, and Trinity getting into like the fact that Trinity was like a diversity hire, and you think about where we are now, they kind of literally told Trinity when they were hiring her that we want more representation. And you think about where we are now,
exactly. Like like I said, to actually being a proper
she's seen it all, man.
Impact and coming back, like you said,
it's incredible. But yeah, the press conference was just awesome. You kind of got to learn a lot about what went into the spectacle, the big show that you just watched. So it was great. It was really, really great.
It's funny though, you mentioned about wanting a lot of content, and I was exactly the same, because I took time off work, so I had time in my hands to watch as much WWE content as possible. So I watched the Slammies. April 7th, Kathy Kelly hosting with Big E. It was 10:30 in the morning for the US, folks. So fuck knows what time that is. But I'm thinking R-Truth was a warm-up, but no, wait, he's a reporter. He was proud to be at the Oscars. He loved Barbie, especially the Merman. R-Truth's just wonderful. That's probably the best thing of the whole show, to be fair. Wade Barrett,
he brought his own red carpet.
Yes.
The little red carpet.
Fantastic stuff. Wade Barrett gave Wade a Slammy for best entrance. Cody accepted by video. Some guy called Fluffy. Charlotte Ripley won Match of the Year. I will say this wasn't the best produced show, but Ray wasn't there. But
you noticed that too? It was so ghetto.
Hang on, I need a shot of Jaxie. Ray wasn't there to collect the award, but good old Charlotte was, eh? Do you know that?
Yeah.
How great is Charlotte?
I didn't watch this. I actually didn't watch the Slammies.
No, but Charlotte was there. Class.
But Charlotte was there. Ashley.
Yeah, okay, class. Well, James,
the GOAT.
Stir shit between me and Charlotte, just because I've had a difference of opinion with her as a wrestler does not mean that I have to always chat shit about her, okay? If she was there, she has a prerogative. She got nominated for an award and she won it.
Well, she won the award. She won it, yeah. And she
She
also
won
gave
it,
away
yeah.
a breakout award. She gave out the
Congrats
breakout
to
award.
Rhea and Charlotte.
Can I just
There you
say,
go.
she gave away the breakout
Most
award to
of
41-year-old LA Knight, which is probably my favourite thing.
It's the oxymoron.
Yeah.
Booker was there to give Tiffany Stratton NXT Superstar of the Year. Sal from Practical Jokers was there, so you know they're bringing out all the big celebrities. Rival of the Year, Reigns Cody. Fan chant was Yeah. Mic drop was Heyman. Riz was Seth. Villain was Dom. Trash talker was Rock. Don came out before Faction of the Year, not giving anything away, but they did win. And Caleb and Saxon gave out the big awards. Social Star of the Year, of course, Drew fucking McIntyre. He dedicated it to CM Punk. Big Drew
Yes, he
chance,
did. Huge.
Chelsea Green came out to steal his slammy, a harbinger of things to come. Drew got her escorted out of their lives. New Day arrived. Well, Kofi and Woods, because Biggie was there. Female superstar was Ripley. Male was Cody. I tell you what, Cody and Ripley did sweep up. And then OMG award was CM Punk. And he was there saying he was back where he belongs at the Slammies. Return went to Punk as well to kind of wrap up a weird acid dream. And whoever produces, Monty, whoever produced this is fired. I'm sorry, I know it's a new era.
I know it was early that morning, and for me, those like 10, like you said, 10, 11 a.m. I was still kind of hungover, but I was smoking, and I thought the producer was higher than me, man. Like they were missing all types of cues. The video package at the end had us just looking at.
It was just Biggie in darkness.
It was
minutes.
just looking at Biggie in the shadow while they're trying to show a video package, and I'm just like, what the hell is going on? Is this WWE? Like. Like you said, definitely fired. Definitely fired.
Well, we move on to night 2, a kickoff with Cody, Damage Control, Bailey shown arriving with Drew and Seth. Of course, Cole, McAfee, Big E, who's wearing the same jacket as the Slammies, but hey, I'm not judging. I wear the same T-shirt all the time. Only for the podcast, we should say. Anyway, internet wrestling marks make headlines. CM Punk. The panel discussed bloodline rules and not having a clue. I quite like that because, I was like, at least they don't know as well. Part 2 of Triple H's interview, he talks CM Punk. He says in 5 years he wants to reinvent the business. Next Mania will be a different place. I want to know how Megan got in her trousers. But anyway, Punk tells his return stories. One thing that really annoyed me, Byron Saxton, he said he was outside Cody's bus for hours and didn't see anything apart from medical staff going in there. He said he would stay there. But then, 10 minutes later, he was interviewing EO Sky. So, Byron, why lie to us? EO says she will be champion. We get Mania by the numbers. Rosenberg in the nosebleed seats in the front row. Cole telling off Pat. Oh, shit, Tom Ronaldo was back. But it was interesting because The Rock got photographed by Neil Leifer, who was Muhammad Ali's photographer. That was it, really. Byron back outside the bus. He says Cody's fine. How would you know? You're lying. Redman away took over. Punk leaves. And Cody Field joins and lights up the panel. I tell you, part of the Special Olympics. And another thing that doesn't get mentioned enough. But honestly, he was like me on that panel, man. He brought it.
Bro, he was hyped.
Fair play. Oh, mate. Fair play to him. And they gave him a gold medal. And we saw Rosenberg's Gritter walk. Finally, Drew McIntyre saying he's ready, he's earned his moment. JBL joins the panel. We get the Profits, BFAB, Bobby ready for some hurt business. Kathy in a basement with Final Testament, poor bitch. Cross looks like a dad whose son just doesn't connect with him. Anyway, Fluffy back. CM Punk makes his way ringside. And Monty, I'll ask you the same question I asked myself. Was 4 hours of kickoff worth it? Short answer, no.
You said it, brother. It usually, without a match, it usually never is.
But I did it. I did it for everybody listening. You see? And I did it for Jackson and Gina, so they have to go through this shit. But the Ali thing was
What a sacrifice.
Aye, sacrifice. Great, good.
Yeah, your sacrifice is appreciated.
Well, we've got a bigger thing. We've got a bigger sacrifice. We've got a bigger question to ask. And that is night 2. can Cody Rhodes finish his story? We see Bayley and Cody showing up. We get a nice intro by Meek Mill after a rendition of America the Beautiful by War and Treaty. Really nice. But again, Monty, people might be wondering, why do they play the American National Anthem for basically every event when we had it last night?
No, that's the
Man,
question I have as well. Why is it across both nights?
Don't ask me. Don't ask me. Don't get me in
You're
trouble.
the American.
I live here.
You're the
I
American.
live here. Don't get me in trouble. Trust me.
But, like,
I've always.
I'm not
hated
gonna
it.
lie. There's loving your country and being proud of it, and then there's loving your country and being proud of it. And I don't think we need your national anthem 2 days in a row.
Hey,
really
to all
You know,
my American listeners out here,
Most
the
of us don't give a shit about the national anthem.
The foreigners are saying this. This is not me. Please do
Most-
not bring your patriot ass over here.
No,
Hey, I'm just, I don't even know the lyrics to the British national anthem. I don't even know the lyrics.
Bro,
I know the lyrics.
I don't
know
even
the
know if
lyrics
it's
to America the Beautiful. I know.
You do?
I don't know the national anthem.
Wow.
Has our lyrics changed the king, or do we still say "God Save Our Queen"? Like, I
Ours
don't
is
even
God
know.
Save the King.
Yeah, but I don't even care.
Gracious King. No, I'm not going to sing national anthem, but come on, we
Please
know
don't.
Britannia.
I'm just saying, none of us even care for it in
Bro,
the UK.
they
For
used to
us.
make us
You
do the
might
pledge
again.
in
God.
class growing up. They used to make us do the United States Pledge of Allegiance in class. I was so happy when they outlawed that, because damn, it was a waste of time. But they still do. Yeah, they do the Star Spangled Banner. That's just what they do. They're very patriotic.
America treat your national anthem like it's like, you know, when you go to church
Man.
on a Sunday and then you say the Lord's Prayer. Like,
Oh yeah, it's the same
You
thing
say-
basically. You better take
So-
your hat off. You better take those
Yeah.
shades off. You gotta stand up, put your hand on your chest.
yeah, exactly. Like, I mean,
Ugh.
sometimes I actually do feel like I'm watching an episode of Attack on Titan and everyone's just waiting to do that salute or something. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, we were digressing here. But yeah, I just didn't think it was necessary for two nights in a row to have the national anthem. But okay.
Now watch this.
Well,
I'm gonna
after
get some
Jackson-
messages. They're gonna tell me to move to the UK. I'm telling you guys, they're gonna try to ship me off. Somebody's
After
gonna.
Jaxie hating on the Americans, we got a surprise
Yeah.
appearance from Stephanie McMahon.
Hey, don't stir that
She
shit
called
now,
this
James. I
the
don't want
first
America.
WrestleMania. Jaxie, do you hate Stephanie as much as you hate Americans? I don't know. Like,
Why?
Wow.
No, I do not hate Americans or Stephanie. Like, it made sense that she was coming out to introduce Night 2. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I was shocked to see her there, but then when I did see her coming out, I understood why she was coming out. Just us
Yep,
doing what her husband did Night 1.
exactly. And then we have Rowdy Roddy Piper's theme tune. No, we don't. We just got bagpipes. We got bagpipes because it is time. World Heavyweight Championship. Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre. The Ulster Scottish Pipe Band from the stage have begun playing the Scottish music. I don't know what the right word would be for it, but anyway, McIntyre came out.
Hold
His
on.
theme was playing.
You supposed to know this, right?
I've gone
Yeah,
blank.
no. Let me ask
My dad's
you.
going to disown me. I am. I apologise. I assume it's Scottish music. I don't know which one. The challenger. Anyway, the challenger made his way past a few dozen men holding up swords. Highlanders reference as well. Rollins, to say he had a much more colourful band playing his music, maybe be an overstatement. But Monty, we got a Rosebuds reference in 2024. How good is that?
Can you believe it? I bet Adam Rose himself was sitting at home like, wow. Somebody
I'm
remember
literally
me.
just thinking, like, they look like, you know, everyone from his entrance, right? But mixed, and they got put into Fawlty Towers type, or no, not Fawlty Towers, sorry, like Terry Pratchett's, like one of Terry Pratchett's shows. It felt like they just came out of one of his shows, you know, like court jesters and everything, just coming out and jumping. I thought we had jumped to the Renaissance period, and I was just like, okay, I thought Seth was all about the dramatics, but I didn't actually think he would take it that far.
Well, they hadn't introduced CM Punk a commentary before he was going like, "Oh my god," about what Rollins looked like. But I was like, you know what I mean? I was like, no, this is a win, Seth. I was disappointed he didn't come out as like Rocky Maivia from '96 on night one. So again, to get this to now, I was pleased. And as soon as the match started, we knew this was going to be different than most because McIntyre nailed a Claymore as soon as the bell rang. Rollins rolled out the ring, but the challenger followed and hit a suplex before taking some time to send a message on X, which again, so great from Drew. And I think he put bored at work, LOL. The Visionary was able to hit a pedigree on the floor, but at a cost to his own knee. He hit a stomp, but barely got a 2 count. And this was all in like the first couple of minutes, so you could tell the guys were not planning on holding back. The Scottish Superman even survived a powerbomb, pedigree, and stomp sequence, even though my heart nearly didn't. This was about both men taking kill shots until one of them finally worked. I did think Drew was done after a stomp on the announce table, and it took about 8 of them, but it was a Scottish Warrior hit one more Claymore to Defiant Rollins to get the pin, and your new World Heavyweight Champion, Drew McIntyre. He did it, everybody. We have finished our story. Good night. That is it. What a show. What a WrestleMania, right? 3-time champion.
Yeah, he went backstage, right? He just went backstage.
You wish.
Celebrate.
You wish.
Yeah,
Like everyone at their TV, everyone at their TV was just shouting, "Now leave! Go! Leave, Drew!
Look,
Shut up, Drew! Stop talking, Drew!"
The emotion on his face as he took the title looked real. And this was a special moment after not getting his big win in front of fans, you know. Seth got emotional.
There was also I think there was that moment that the cameraman actually captured really well of the emotion and captured in Seth's face, and then instantly shot to the sort of emotional response of Drew from Seth. Yeah. And that moment actually got me a little bit emotional as well, because I could see how much Seth really respected that match and, like, you know, what they had just put on. So
yeah, he definitely said, "You fucking deserve it, man." I'm like,
mate,
I felt like saying, "You deserve it, Drew." Yeah, for about 5 seconds.
Look, Seth has gone up in everybody's estimation, and again, we're going to get onto it in the main event. But even for me now, like, Seth is one of my favourites. And again, telling Drew is yours now is just class, you know. McIntyre may be a heel, but he got a hero's response, and that is what is important. Then he should have left.
Yeah,
but he didn't.
You can't deny the hype. You can't deny the hype that happened when the 1, 2, 3 hit. The fans were all behind him, even though he is a heel as well. But yeah, shit flopped real quick. So I'll let you carry on and explain, James.
Yeah, well, he tried talking trash with CM Punk, but ended up getting tripped on top of the announce table. The straight edge superstar kept attacking, hit him with his I don't know, with his, what you call it, a cast or whatever. It's a weapon. Let's be fair about that. And the arm looked right to me. And then Damien Priest ran down with Money in the Bank. He struck McIntyre with it, threw him in the ring, and the match started. He hit South of Heaven to get the win and become the second new World Heavyweight Champion in one night. Fuck my ass. Gina, they gave us an emotional moment for McIntyre, followed by Priest. This makes me fucking sick.
I did feel for you, James. I really did feel for you when that happened, but I knew it was coming. I knew Drew was going to just be all chat and rubbing it into CM Punk, seeing as he was there on commentary. And I just had a feeling Damien is going to use that distraction. And to be honest, I wasn't sure whether he was going to come out and make it a triple threat and win it that way. But I think I did say on the previous pod, I think it's better if Drew wins the belt, but then gets it taken straight off of him from Damien, which is what happened. So I could see that happening. And I feel for Drew, I really do, because he did deserve that win. The match was awesome, but for fuck's sake, you should have just gone run into the back. You should have treated this belt like it's the 24/7 championship. And he should have just gone run in the minute he won it. You know, he didn't, and it came back and bit him in the ass.
But Gina, do you know the thing that got me the most is that he did what I would do? You know, I'd just try and rub it in you guys' faces, and it would just come
100%. You would be rubbing it in your rival's face, and I'd be like, good. You deserve that, you cunt.
I was just going to actually say, James, you are Drew McIntyre, and I am CM Punk. because I was CM Punk when he was sat on that announcer's table after, just laughing and pointing at Drew like, "You did this to yourself, bruv. You did this to yourself. You mug." Like, honestly, we have a saying, Monty, here in the UK. It's not actually used that much anymore, but definitely heavily used in the 90s. And it's the perfect depiction of what happened to Drew. And it's chat shit, get banged. That's what happened to you. You chat shit, you got banged, you got KO'd, and you lost your belt just like that. And it's just
Look.
like,
Well, if
I'm
we're
sorry,
assigning roles, then Monty can be Seth and I'll be Damien.
yeah, I mean, it was an
Look,
absolute
can
shit
everybody
show.
stop trying to fuck me over? The thing is
Twisting the
about
knife out
You
there.
fucked yourself over it, James.
look, the thing
You
about
fucked
it is
yourself.
Punk and McIntyre can now feud while Priest keeps the title warm for Drew because Clash at the Castle is in Scotland in June. And come on, Mr. Four-Time. One thing I didn't mention about night one, but new Challenger Champions graphic and camera setup as well as they come in, which was quite cool. I thought Punk offered surprisingly little on commentary as well, but Monty, the thing is about this is everything Drew warned Seth about with the bloodline came true with him.
There you go.
Punk. And
That was the story.
I fucking hated it, but I was like, why? I hate
That
it
was
when it
good,
makes
though,
sense.
right?
Yeah, I hate everything.
Yes, exactly. Drew was so obsessed with his grudge, so obsessed with throwing everything in Punk's face, so obsessed with social media. All of that, you could just take it into account. And it just made for a very perfect, all right, you're telling Self this, but look at what you're doing. You're talking like this. You're right about Self. It did cost Self, but it cost you too. And to be fair, and guess what? I'm going to be fair to Drew. Everybody says that in hindsight you leave, and they're 100% right. But everybody was also killing Priest because Rollins had just got killed the night before, and Priest did not show up at all. You know what I mean? He gave up basically on basically trying to cash in on Priest. But like I sent you a video earlier today, Drew has stopped Priest on multiple occasions, and look who it's just kind of poetic that's who Priest ended up cashing in on. So it worked out perfectly, man. And you're 100% right. It does set up a beautiful moment, possibly at Clash for Drew to kind of make up for what happened the last time the Clash happened. And it definitely sets up perfect stuff for him and Punk going forward. If like you said, Punk didn't really do a lot commentary wise, but they really made up for it with that thing in the end.
No, I fucking
because
put that before he did that shit.
Yeah, exactly. He really made up for it at the end. Then it was like, okay, so that's why he was here. Because I told you, I was like, well, how is Punk got to get involved, right? He hate both these guys. He got to get involved. And it just come to find out that he had to kind of get goaded into getting involved. And I thought it was a genius way to kind of do everything because Drew's story is what? Win the title in front of fans. It didn't say win the title, running with it for 300 days or whatever. No. Win the title in front of fans.
We know
okay,
what
we
his
got
next
that.
one's going to be.
Exactly.
Keep
We
it
know
longer.
exactly what his next goal
Make
is.
sure I get nameplates. That will
Right.
be the next.
Yes, actually hold the belt, right? Yeah, but he got to hand it to his wife. That was beautiful. Tears in his eyes. The moment was perfect. And then you also got a chance to get the Damian Priest problem solved so we don't have to go into Money in the Bank and still worrying about will he and all of that. He was getting clowned on Twitter for so long. So I was happy for Priest. I was still happy for Drew because I feel like even though it didn't turn out the way he wanted, for that bitter character he has become, it actually is perfect because he gets to stay his version of Drew. Because you heard the crowd. I don't want a baby face, I've done everything I need to do version of Drew. I want him to still continue to have that chip on his shoulder. So it actually kind of helps with the story that they want to tell with Drew going forward, as we'll see. So this is just like well done. You have to tip your cap off like, damn, they really did great. Everybody did great.
Yeah, and Jackson and Gino accused me of this, but this is one of the best openings to a Mania ever. The story in that first 45 minutes to an hour was fucking brilliant. And again, thanks to what happened on night one, which we're going to talk about a lot, But again, I mean, Jackson, don't talk about this is how you start a show. But one thing we've not mentioned is Damian Priest, is that it's a great moment for him, and he deserves this, and only the second man to cash in at a WrestleMania.
Seth?
She might be back. I don't know. Gina, how great is
That's
Damien
right.
Priest though?
I'm back. I don't know
good.
how.
I didn't move on.
A phone call came through and it cancelled me out and it booted me. I'm so sorry.
Ah.
I heard you were talking to me. Can you repeat the question?
Damien Priest is World Heavyweight Champion. Did he deserve this moment? Like I said, only the second man to cash in at WrestleMania.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, I think he too deserved this moment. I think both men. I think both Drew and Damien deserve their moments respectively. Again, Judgment Day looked absolutely great. At the top of the ring once Damien had won, like having them all come out and look, that dominant and strong as a faction. And you got to think. I think there's been ups and downs with Judgment Day, but look at where they've got to. That you've got to acknowledge accomplishments and the success that they've had as a faction. Even taking that loss on night one with losing the tag titles, it feels like that for the Judgment Day right now, that loss doesn't matter now that they've picked up an even bigger win. So I think this really does do a lot for Damien as a wrestler and for him to be taken seriously, sort of like in the main title picture sort of thing now.
And also,
but I also do. No, go on.
No, about saying also, you just talked about WrestleMania. Like, you think about, what was it, 2 years ago, that he helped Edge and joined the Judgment Day to beat AJ. And last year, like, Balor losing to Edge as well. And now it just feels like they've gone to a different level now. Do you like you said with these two as well, with Priest?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Like the Judgment Day as a faction, they've had their ups and their downs, and at one point they were taken seriously, even when Edge sort of created it. But then slowly but surely started to there was that question as to whether or not they were slowly becoming a joke faction. They've got to be taken seriously now. Anyone who's not been paying attention to Judgment Day really need to be doing it, and not just for Mummy at this point. And I think with what they could do with Damien as the current champion, way before like we start to even consider what could take place at Clash at the Castle, right now is just going to only do anything, but is only going to elevate him even further than what he actually is and how he's taken as a wrestler. So, I was kind of pleased with both of the outcomes because my original choice was Drew to win, but I predicted and said I think Drew's going to win, but I think Damian Priest is going to cash in. So I'm really glad that I kind of was so on point with how that match went.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I know.
So
really well
pleased.
done, mate.
Yeah, great. Yeah, well done.
Having it as the opening match really set the standard for night two.
You owe me a tenner.
By the end of that match, I was so lit and so hyped for any of the other matches coming up, and that was because of what both Seth and Drew did in the ring. This was a great match.
Yeah, without a doubt. Gina, what would you give it out of 5 then to start us off? Well, or to continue us?
I was going to say, can I just quickly also say that I am very happy for Damien winning this, because I didn't even know this, but I actually found out earlier today that when Damien was first hired by the WWE, he was hired as a security guard, and he was actually currently homeless when he was hired. So knowing that's how his journey with the WWE started, and to seeing him now win this belt at WrestleMania, you can't help but still be happy for him about the accomplishment that he's got to from that beginning start at WWE and being recorded as being homeless, and to now he's the fucking champ. So, fair play to him. I thought it was a brilliant opening to WrestleMania. It set the tone, and it just made WrestleMania Night 2 feel like it's just going to be a banger of a pay-per-view or a premium live event. Sorry. So I gave this 4 3/4 this match, because it was just great from beginning to end.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? From homeless to his house now. Monty, what would you give it out of 5?
Yeah, man, they were spamming finishes, but it kind of, like you mentioned, added to that big fight feel, or like the gunslinger situation where they're both just coming, aiming for the head, trying to take each other out. I did kind of almost be like, Drew might need to get a new finisher. You kick a man that many times, but again, it makes Self look great, and he again 316 days of champion. I was one of the guys who've been heavy heavily positive and big fan of Seth. And coming out of this show, I was a bigger fan. And this was just the beginning of his night, but this was really, really great stuff. And him passing it on to Drew, a guy who deserved it, and then you give it, like you said, to Priest, everything he'd been through. I thought everybody did great. 4.5 is where I give it. This was an awesome way to kick things off from everybody involved, Punk included.
Yeah, it's weird. I always wanted kind of Seth's reign to end, but I never really kind of knew what we had. Now it's gone. Deep. Jaxie?
Again, agree with a lot of what everyone said. I've given this a 4 3/4 as well. I was fully invested in this match. Like, you really didn't want to look away because just so much was happening. There was ups and downs from both Seth and Drew, and I think they both looked great. And I really just felt like it was a feel-good moment. Even if it was not meant to, it still felt like a feel-good moment seeing Damien pick up the win. I too also didn't know that about Damien, so just to see like his success from where he was and how much he just, relied solely on himself, got himself to where he is, and now how successful he is. I'm even more prouder to see that he's holding the title belt. So well done to him.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 5. No fucks given. Predictions, it went Drew, so all on one. And the Pride versus the Final Testament street fight was next. And what I thought was going to be a serious grudge match turned more into a comedy thanks to a guest referee, Bubba Ray Dudley. I don't know if anybody else is disappointed. We'll speak about it in a minute. But the Street Profits and Lashley sent all 3 opponents out of the ring right away to get the match started. Dawkins and Ford made sure to get a table as soon as they could. B-Fab and Scarlett ended up getting physical because there were no rules. We saw kendo sticks, trash cans and chairs brought into the ring, used by both teams at various points. Cross ended up getting in Bubba's face when he countered a near fall, but Lashley used the opportunity to hit a spear. Ford and Dawkins did some signature Dudley Boy taunts and moves, much to the delight of the Philly crowd. After one failed attempt, Ford hit a big frog splash to put Cross through a table to get the win. Jaxie, what were your thoughts? Because, again, this is a feud we've been looking at for quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that I'm glad with the result. First and foremost, I don't understand why was this announcement of Bubba Ray being the special guest referee just very last minute? Like, was it announced before? I
didn't hear any of it. So I think they
didn't
talk
talk about it at all.
I'm trying to think about like the kickoff, and I'm pretty sure that I didn't watch all of the kickoff, but
I watched 4 hours of it. They didn't fucking mention it.
I didn't once hear this, so I don't. First of all, why was it kept a secret until like the match itself? Like, because the only reason, like, my biggest question is why. We didn't really need a special guest referee, and I think that if they were going to do that, I know that they've done it for the novelty effect, like, everyone's fans. It's not that I actually have a problem with this, but I didn't understand why. Even if they'd have announced it on the kickoff show, I think that would have been better than just saving the announcement until just before the match, because literally, like, the whole first part of it, I was really trying to connect the dots on, like, first of all, like, who came up with the idea to, like, give Bubba a call and be like, hey, do you want to be involved in WrestleMania for nostalgia effect? Like,
well, he was at the Hall of Fame, but maybe he's the most kind of able ECW person.
Philadelphia,
do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah, that's the big.
Yeah.
I mean,
there
why
is
not
that
have
connection,
Devon with Bubba? I don't understand.
I don't know. I
Maybe
think
RVD, but the AEW stuff. Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah.
Fuck no. So again, it's like. I'll tell you what was funny though. What was worth it was Snoop Dogg on commentary.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. What saved this match from being just something that I was completely confused with was Snoop Dogg on commentary. Oh my gosh! Right, I've seen like Instagram videos of him going viral with Kevin Hart for doing some commentary on the Olympics, right, which has always been funny. But for some reason, this was the best move. Like, when I first heard Snoop's music drop, I'm not gonna lie, James, I was like, oh, please don't tell me that he's just gonna like have some poor sod like Cameron Grimes in the ring for no reason. He's gonna do like the worst, like, people's elbow again or something. I was so grateful to see that he was going on to commentary. So that was first and foremost. But everything he was saying, I watched this match twice because of how funny Snoop Dogg is on commentary. Like, you got, if you're gonna go and watch anything, just even for comedic effect. Not that the match itself was a comedic effect. It was Snoop Dogg and like everything that he was reacting to in the ring. It was great.
No, I think it did turn into a bit of a comedy. And Gene, I don't know what you think.
No,
but
it
again,
definitely became funny.
like,
It was the
no, but
very
I
end,
was
the very end of
expecting more
it
blood
turned
and
it very
guts. Do you know what I
comical.
mean? Like,
Yeah. Well,
was
I thought
expecting
this
more
was
with
going
you.
to go. I mean, also, can I quickly give a shout out to Scarlett and B-Fab who went through the table? That was a tough
Yes,
spot.
yeah, credit for that.
You girls both took it, and well done. Because that was a bit of I was a bit of a scared moment for both of them, but they both took it. So fair play to them both on that moment. But yeah, towards the end, right, the part that I hated most about this match was Bubba teaching Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits how to do the what's that move. Thing is, don't get me wrong, that is so fun for nostalgia's sake. But having the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley of all teams doing it did not work.
And Authors of
These
Pain
are
and
supposed to be fucking kings, not doing this. Like they should have absolutely dominated towards the end without the help or distractions of Bubba teaching them how to do the what's up. Everyone seen the 90s. We just didn't. I didn't particularly need to see that happen. I just felt like it made the match a little bit cheapened from bringing that part in. It didn't work for me, and I didn't like it. But again, like it was hard to like not dislike the match when you're listening to Snoop on commentary at the same time. So
yeah, like I said, it was a lot going on, but I thought it turned more into comedy than anything else, and it's a bit of a shame. And like Gina, after we've talked about this, Cameron Cross and the Authors of Pain offered nothing. Could have been anybody in there. Could have been, like Jack said, like Cameron Grimes and two other jobbers, you know?
Wow, I get to speak now. Yes. Okay. This match, I actually loved this match. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, look at these three kings. I'm
Thank
sorry,
you.
Karrion Cross and AOP. I am really sorry to you guys, but you were just the four guys. Like these three kings just came in and smashed it, and I was pissing myself at Snoop Dogg because you can tell. I'm really sorry, people, but I am black. I can say this, but you could tell he was really refraining to say the N word on commentary. It's like you could hear him go, "Dang." And then he paused a little bit, and you knew what he was going to say after that. And he had to check himself and make sure he didn't go, like, dang, N-word, you know? I absolutely loved that. I was like, yes, Snoop. But I was so entertained by this match. I absolutely loved it. And like my sister said, fair play to the two girls going through the table. I'm glad they did in a way. I know that sounds evil, but it would have been kind of pointless for you ladies being out here if you didn't do something. So like, I'm glad that all of that went down. And again, I'm just happy that my kings won because they looked like kings in that match.
Well, Monty, what bothered me, a lot of people said that this was Ellerin's first Mania, but I'm pretty sure he was there at WrestleMania 8. You know, maybe not in a match, but definitely on stage. For me as well, Karrion Cross just doesn't seem bothered. I mean, it was okay for what it was, but this ain't nothing.
I think.
I mean, but would you be bothered though? Would you actually be bothered when you just get told that you're about to take the boys like, you know, what's up to the balls and that's how you're going to lose?
Chelsea Green can make the most of 30 seconds, then Cameron
But
Cross
she
can make the most
loves
of 10
her
minutes
job,
at Mania.
seemingly. He's been throwing it in for a while.
He
he's been
has.
throwing it in for a while.
Yeah,
maybe
he's just not. Yeah, maybe because he's just not been. He's not had one decent like start or run on the main roster. Compared to like how dominant you know, forceful he came across in NXT. I'm sorry,
he hasn't been the same since the Adam Cole promo. It just hasn't been the same at all. Nothing about him. All the aura is just he had just seemingly is gone. But it's not even just that. I mean, I wasn't really into like I don't know about you guys, and that's just maybe it's just me. But as far as this feud go, it had been dragging for a while. We talked about it. Maybe the Philadelphia Street Fight was going to give it a little bit of something, but I wasn't expecting blood and guts because they haven't gave us much to latch on to anyway. I just knew that the Profits and Bobby had the win because they had been putting them over for like 6 weeks. 6 weeks, and it really didn't matter, honestly, if you really think about it. Like, you know, I did not mind the Team 3D references or whatever. It was all good fun to me. Like you guys mentioned, I love B-Fab and them getting involved and just kind of having fun with it. Like, it ended up being fun, and that was more than I could have asked for it. And we got the right result. And maybe it was because I was on the same thing Snoop was on. We was also on the green, also on the I wasn't on gin and juice, but I was on tequila, so I definitely felt the vibe. It was a good damn time. And you mentioned the Gina, he talks like we talk at home, man. That's why Snoop was so perfect. That's the same way when I'm watching with some of my family. That's how they scream at the television, saying some of the stuff that Snoop Dogg was talking about. We're making Yogi Bear references and calling the table a picnic table and just having a good time, man. The table and Cross get on the first table when they're trying to set up the frog splash. The table collapsed. Like, come on, man. It was just a lot of funny moments, whether it was intentional or not, in this match. So James talking about blood and guts. I was like, man, you really came into this taking this too seriously, bro. Like, once I saw Snoop was on commentary, and like you said, once he got to talking, I was like, okay, yeah, this is just going to be fun. They're going to go out there and do their thing. And I thought they made the most of it, even if it wasn't a big dramatic blow off that maybe you guys were expecting.
No, because they're not going to take, like I said, these multi-man matches at Mania seriously, are they? So again, if it's going to be something like this, it is going to be this rather than what it should have been. But again, for what it was,
yeah.
it was
Also,
there.
one last thing I want to squeeze in I didn't comment on Bubba Ray, and one part of me was like, this would have made a whole lot of sense if it was a tag match with the Usos, seeing as the Usos do the one day. The link would have been more effective there, even though I know they weren't having a tag match, but that's why it didn't fully work for me with the Bubba Ray thing too.
So out of 5 for that one then. Jackson, what do you score it?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same level as Monty in terms of I just enjoyed this match for what it was. I gave it a 3.25.
Monty?
Yeah, very fun 3.5 for me, man.
Gina?
3.5, yep.
I'll give that a 3. Predictions, who went faces? So all on 2. LA Knight was shown arriving at the stadium in a Slim Jim car, and the Slim Jim winner could have been happier winning a car, but maybe because it was bright orange and nowhere for the shopping, maybe, I don't know. LA Knight versus AJ Styles, and AJ had a new theme, and he looks jacked. I don't know what radioactive spider bit him, but it's doing its fucking job. I mean, Gina, AJ, he's been more muscular than he is tall. He'll be the first ever man to do it.
He does look like he's put on so much more muscle. It's insane. And I didn't think that AJ could look any bigger than what he does, So he looks good. But I'm not going to lie, I was so disappointed because I absolutely love AJ's original entrance music. So I was expecting that to drop. So when it didn't drop, my face was kind of like that dog meme, like, what? What is this? I'm disappointed.
Well, AJ ran to the ring and the match got started right away, and he did a good job making this feel like a grub match right from the start. It was one of the most unpredictable contests heading into this one, and no man had a clear advantage or more to lose, so neither outcome would have been that surprising. Instead, the surprise element was how well this match actually was structured and played out. The concrete was exposed, the intensity didn't let up. The German suplex from Knight on the top rope was awesome. And after counting a phenomenal forearm, Knight won with the BFT. Like I said, Gina, this was a lot better than we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I definitely was entertained. Again, this match didn't disappoint me. And I think like the match before kept everyone entertained and had them all hyped. So going into this match, it brought that hypeness over, if that makes sense.
Yeah, without doubt, because again, we weren't expecting much, but they really did deliver.
Yeah, they did. I'm sorry, I bit my tongue. So I sound like I got a lisp at the moment. Someone else speak.
Jaxie, what do you think of this? Because again, for nothing on the line, these two guys put on a performance, and AJ again showing how good he is.
Yeah, I mean, what I've got to say about this match in particular is that I I didn't actually expect much from this match. Like, I knew it was a grudge match, but what I'm trying to say is I wasn't like emotionally invested going into this match. I knew it was going to happen, and I feel like this type of match caliber should have been on WrestleMania. That's not what I'm saying, but I don't think I was as emotionally invested, like as much as I should have been. This match actually exceeded my expectations. I felt like AJ and LA Knight put on their best work. Like, this is the best that I've seen both of them do in the ring. They had some really great spots which really showcased either one of them. And this was the first time I really looked at this match and thought these two work really well together, And Monty, I want to know whether or not you have a similar opinion to me. But for some reason, when I was watching this match, I got reminded of the series of 7 matches that Mick Foley had put together for Sheamus and then Cesaro, and how they like really hated each other, like really fucking hated each other, kept getting one-ups on each other, and then eventually get put together as a tag team. And I thought to myself, I could really see LA Knight and AJ Styles as a tag team, So I don't know if
I
you
get it. AJ a little too grumpy right now, but I
Yeah,
I
well,
get it. I get
you
what
can't
you mean.
see it
Though.
right now. No,
Yeah.
but like, do you see what I mean in terms of the level of
Mhm.
like how well compatible one another were in the ring,
Yes.
and just how well they worked together. It just really reminded me of the compatibility and hatred both Cesaro and Sheamus had for each other before Mick Foley got involved and then said series of 7 matches, and when there still wasn't a definitive winner, he was like tag team. And I could just see that like this type of hatred between AJ Styles and LA Knight is not going to go anywhere, even whoever it was going to become whatever the outcome was of this match. Just believing from their wrestling in the ring, I was like, these two are going to forever hate each other, even if they go away, do their own things, have their own matches, have their own highs and lows and stuff like that. They will forever run into one another, and the hatred will forever be there. And I kind of want to see this continue to the point where they're like, this hatred has just got to go somewhere, so let's just tag up. I don't know. It just gave me those similar vibes of what went down with Sheamus and Cesaro. So it was really nice to see, actually. I was very pleasantly surprised at how much I enjoyed this match.
Okay, and just because James has decided to keep on mute, I'm going to jump in. I'm sorry about that. My tongue I might have a lisp the rest of the pod, but either way, I loved this match. It was great. Just as my sister said, I think they both showcased each other so well to the point that you could literally sit there and think, if these two were a tag team, they would be like quite unstoppable at this point, because especially in their singles runs kind of at the moment, they both seem to be quite dominating until it comes to each other. So I feel like I feel like this is not over. We're going to get some more AJ Styles versus LA Knight, and we'll see in a couple months' time whether they've actually been matched up and forced to work with each other. But if they do, please give AJ his old music back, please.
Yeah, gotta love those Death Rebel themes, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm
They're
not
the
gonna lie.
best ones.
There was a slight disappointment on not hearing his music drop, but I get it.
It's not that bad. It's just not the other song, man.
Yeah,
It's not
exactly. I
that
think
bad. It's just not the other song.
the other song was so good. It's hard to like
I
move
think
past
AJ
that.
needs to worry about having cut cheeks. The amount of times that I see that in matches, and I think, I don't know what's wrong with it. Maybe soft skin or something like this. But I don't know about you, Monty. But this is what Jimmy and Jay should have been.
Yeah, exactly. It's that, bro. Like, even just from something
agree.
simple as pulling the mat on the outside that LA Knight did, it's just that fire. And that's another thing, Jay. I remember us talking about the bill. I looked at this video package and I was like, what the hell? This has a lot of heat if you look at this video package, because the home invasion and all that, like, it's stuff you forget because they had so much, they had less time than others, but they actually do have a reason to not really like each other. So, it was really, really cool to kind of look at it through the video package. I'm like, WWE really do a good video package, because I didn't think this had that much heat. But you watch this and then you look at the match and the way the crowd was into it and everything LA Knight does gets a reaction. And I just think, like you said, for him and AJ to have this surprisingly great chemistry, it was just a really, really fun match. And it was fun, but like you mentioned, James, I think that's what I was missing from Jay and Jimmy. I wanted the physicality. I wanted them to try to at least, even if they get talked out of it later, I feel like that Jimmy moment where he's begging make even more sense if you had like a war before that Jay is kind of in the building his comeback from, that Jimmy was just like destroying him on the floor or something like that. But, like you mentioned, the energy, everything about this match was just top notch. And it was like you said, for something that we didn't think coming in had much of a build, they went out there and they tore the house down. And I'm going to leave it with this. This is an amazing little thing. AJ fought like Randy. He fought Shinsuke. He fought all of these crazy, great top-tier talent. If you just go off the list, he fought Jericho. He fought all these guys. But his best matches are with Shane McMahon and now LA Knight. That's insane that at Mania, AJ seemed to have chemistry with guys that you wouldn't expect him. And if you put him in a dream match scenario, you're almost disappointed almost every time. It's crazy.
The thing is, as well, with LA Knight, he looked great, and let's hope he can kind of ignite where he was maybe in September, October of last year. So and rewatching it was just as good as it was on the night. Just
it was a treat, man.
Because again, with night 2, it was a complete journey. So rewatching it back, as we've all talked about doing, is good, because then it takes us out of this situation. So, Gina, what would you score this out of 5?
I gave this a 4.5 because it was just so entertaining, and I didn't expect the match to go as hard as it did.
No doubt. Jaxie?
I too gave this a 4.5. Again, it exceeded my expectations, and I just felt like by the end of it, I was so fully invested in this match, and I'm kind of already looking forward to seeing them one-on-one again at some point down the line. This definitely isn't sort of over between the two of them, and I just think they both made each other look great.
Without doubt. What would you score, sorry?
I gave it a 4.5.
4.5. Monty?
Yeah, I agree. I think 4.25 is probably where I place it, but really, really good stuff. I think they make me feel like if they get time again, it could be even better. I hope so going forward. We'll see. But yeah, man, I think this was really, really good stuff. Really good payoff to something that didn't have fire, but now you're almost more invested in their feud.
Without doubt. We get the Hall of Fame class with Paul taking centre stage. Heyman, that is. And I say saying the tributes of Bray Wyatt will always be beautiful, no matter what. Should be remembered in every big event. Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton for the US title next. Zayn was waiting backstage to wish KO luck, just like Owens did for him. Oh, fuck, not like this. He drove a golf cart to the ring when it was time for Orton's entrance. He backed the cart up and gave the Viper a ride to the ring. I'm just not sure about happy-go-lucky Owens and Orton. But anyway, they turned it into a handicap match at first and took turns suplexing Paul onto the announce table over and over. Paul tried to turn Orton and Owens against each other, only for them to team up on him again was just hilarious. They eventually realised only one of them could win low. The Viper almost hit an RKO on Owens. When KO avoided it, they had a hilarious exchange. And whether you like or hate Paul, you have to respect the work he puts in his matches. After he interfered, Orton pulled YouTuber iShow Speed out of the Prime costume and hit an RKO on the announce table. After taking RKO, Owens ended up taking a frog splash from Paul to give him the win. Jaxie, what were your thoughts on this? There was a lot going on here, but it was quite fun.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with a lot of the statements that you made throughout this match. I think this was really a fun match. I think KO and Randy Orton worked so well together, and then actually infusing Logan Paul, like he worked really well with them, and he looked good. Like every time he's in the ring, he's improving. So you can't deny that he's putting in the training, he's putting in the work ethic. to make himself look very formidable as a champion, and that's exactly what he does look like. I knew it was going to be another one of Logan Paul's mates in the Prime bottle, and look who it was. So yeah, he just got RKO'd. I expected that. It was either going to come from him or Kevin Owens anyway. But ultimately, I did call this match, and I'm kind of glad that it was very much how we all said on the previous pod and on our predictions how it was going to go. I did see like Logan capitalizing off of like KO and Randy's sort of work in the ring against one another. I thought there were some really great near misses that worked really well, and all three of them had some like really outstanding moments. I think this is one of those matches that everyone should watch if they're thinking about checking on a few matches from WrestleMania, because this was actually quite an enjoyable one. I enjoyed it more than I actually thought I was going to.
That's the thing, and again, even with the Prime advertising with like Logan coming out with a Prime truck, and again, call me old or call me clueless, but fat luchadors or American footballers and YouTubers I'm not that great with. So when it was him, I was like, who the fuck is that? But again, there was one little kid in the front row who was losing his fucking shit. So again, it's interesting to put it in perspective.
It's interesting because, at the beginning of the match, like you said, with Logan's entrance, like I already was kind of like, oh God, let's get this match over and done with sort of thing. Not because of anything other than my disdain for the person that is Logan Paul. I just really don't care for him. To see him on our TV, I'd rather he just stick to YouTube. But you have to actually give him credit where like the work has been put in and done, and that is exactly what he showcased. This is why he's champion, But he worked well. The match was actually really fun. I enjoyed it.
He's in it for the long haul, And again, Gina asked you this: was the Prime logo a problem in the ring? Because I've not mentioned it up until now, and there was a lot of talk going into this event.
I wasn't keen on the Prime logo, especially because I think it was Cody on night one. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was Cody on night one, but like
kissing it.
he kissed the ring. And the thing is, that's what Cody does. He goes into the ring and he kisses the ring. Yeah. So it wasn't him kissing Prime, but that's all I saw was him kissing Prime.
But he is Prime superstar now, though. He has been
he got a Prime flavor.
Because then, Logan Paul's going to just cash on that. He'll probably post on his Twitter a picture of Cody saying Cody loves the Prime. I can imagine it already. But I just feel like maybe it didn't need to be that big.
Yeah, I think you're right. And again, it annoys me that the M in Prime is not like an upside down WWE logo. But again, that's my problem, not theirs. Monty, nice Owens and Orton won't last. I keep telling you this because I don't feel like I'm going crazy. But it's definitely going to happen.
Oh, definitely, man. First of all, anytime Randy is a face, you always kind of looking for, you're looking for that turn. Same thing with Kevin. Neither one of these guys are ever going to be trustworthy completely, So, but especially in, like you said, playing nice together, we all knew it would come to a head. We saw Randy try to get one over on Kevin, but that ended up being hilarious. His face he made when Kevin looked back at him, he's like, "Yo, so we're really gonna do this?" It was just great. That was a great moment, And like you said, Logan Paul, just awesome. Our veterans of this business have all the respect for Logan Paul. So who am I to sit around and act like this guy don't have it? It's obvious. He's captivating. He's easy to hate, and he just gets it, man. He gets it in the ring, and like I said, I didn't know much about him other than a lot of the idiotic things he's done in the past. But like outside of that, and just like how much he seems to genuinely enjoy what he's doing, how much he actually seems to put over the product on all of his platforms. He has millions of followers that he's kind of ushering into wrestling, and I can't complain. Or not that all his fans don't. Most of his fans probably wouldn't watch it anyway because they're kids or whatever. But again, that platform, the same thing with iShow Speed. Like you said, James, you're elderly, you're old, you don't know, but iShow Speed is another guy who gets millions of views on his streams, on his YouTube videos. He had 1 million views on the night of him taking that RKO. He had 1 million views on his YouTube of him talking about how real wrestling really is to him now. or whatever because that
After he got
RKO
kicked
sucked.
and RKO.
Yeah, he got kicked. That RKO sucked, man. Randy beat the shit out of him, but it was great. It was really, really good. It went viral, and I think that's what Logan is there for. He's there for those viral moments. But you can also tell when you listen to him talk about it on his podcast and a lot of the other stuff I'm starting to hear about Logan, he really likes what he's doing. And it's one thing to be just siphoning from the business or using it to make yourself look good. He's someone who's learning. He's someone who's getting out there and doing the work. And at the end of the day, you have to tip your cap off to him, whether you hated him coming into this or not. He's really won me over with just how serious he's taking it.
Yeah, and like you said, you know, and again, not compared to, but like Kurt Angle was someone that didn't know anything about pro wrestling, and
yes,
you know, they loved it even more. And again, not compared, but Logan, even with WrestleMania record, you know, when you think matches against like Mysterio, against Seth Rollins, and now with Owens and Orton, it literally is like, yeah, they are building a proper character, and he is good, you know, and it was fun.
Yeah,
I might hate to say it, but
it was very fun, very fun.
Jackson, what would you score out of 5?
I'm going to give this a 4.25 because it was just really enjoyable. And I think it was a great showcase of all three men and like how well they worked in the ring.
Gina?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, I gave it a 4.
It was even out you beat your tongue again. But what can I say about being on mute? Monty?
Yeah, man, I give it a 4. Also, I give it a 4. It was really, really good. Also, the Prime logo didn't bother me as much as the match-by-match advertisement.
My God, it was
all of that stuff got to me more than than actually the Prime. Dude wipes and just every other thing that they had to promote. But get that money, man. I guess get that money.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4.25. Predictions, we went Logan, so all on 4. Io Sky versus Bayley, W Women's Championship. Bayley's entrance was Egyptian-inspired, and she had 4 men carrying her on their shoulders. Just wait for 10 years' time when the guy at main events goes, I carried Bayley to the ring at WrestleMania 40. Anyway.
It was in this moment that I realised I fucked up.
Well, both women had great entrances, but we were all business when they got into the ring. They locked up, and the challenger scored the first takedown to send Sky out of the ring to a group. I will say there is such a thing as chanting too long, and Jaxie, I think you know what I'm talking about. When there's a certain chant, it can be distracting when it just keeps going and going. You know the one. But you can't say the crowd.
You just get bored after a while, and I think again, as a viewer from TV, like that's prominently more what we're hearing more than the commentators, and it's just so incredibly distracting after a while.
But you can't say the crowd weren't on their feet for this. Once the Genius of the Sky took control, she began to focus on the same leg Bayley had problems with for years. It was a competitive back and forth fight with a great standout spots, great strike exchange, and Bayley selling so well. I legitimately was waiting to hear if she had re-injured herself after WrestleMania. We get 3 moonsaults by Io. Both women had some creative counters and finishes. The counter to the Rosebud was absolutely fantastic. But when the dust settled, it was Bayley who got the pin and your new women's champion. And Monty, she deserved it. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, man, you damn right she deserved it, man. They went out there, they cooked, man. They got time. And this felt like a big Stardom main event. I know a lot of you guys may have not seen a big Stardom match, but when they do that, they just give the ladies time. They go out there and just let them build up a beautiful match, and I think that's what this was. This was actually, I thought Rhea and Becky was great, but this is actually my women's match of the weekend by far. Like the intensity, the crowd, like you guys mentioned, other than the chant, like like you said, after a while, it's just like, okay, we get it, guys. Now watch what they're doing because they're telling a story here. Let's get into the match. Let's not focus so much on, singing to Bayley. As great as that chant sounds to kind of hear again, I'm sure, for Bayley, because she's been on the opposite end of it for so long. I'm really hoping that since we're going on these a lot of international PLEs, I'm really hoping that everybody don't spam it everywhere we go for Bayley. I hope they give her matches the respect it deserves. But this was great, man. It built beautifully, like you mentioned, with the leg work leading up until a lot of the high spots that EO once again. That is the reason why she's probably the greatest, if not Mayu Iwatani. She's probably the greatest stardom wrestler of all time because of a lot of the work that you got a chance to see here. James, I know we kind of got a chance to see her a lot down in NXT and see what she was able to do as champion.
So
but
cool.
I think a lot of exactly, still so cool. And I think a lot of people who wasn't used to seeing her, who didn't get to see her run in NXT, and not seeing her consistently in long-standing matches like this on the main roster, I thought a lot of people really got a chance to get a taste at just how damn good EO really can be and how good she is. I think Bayley did a great job of putting over how great EO is, while at the same time just being as consistent and just great at what she does as she was here. She just they played off each other perfectly. And honestly, I can't wait. I don't know when they decide to go down that route again, but I would love them to do this one more time at a later date somewhere else, because again, they really told a great story. And like you mentioned, that reversal of the Rose plant when she just kind of front flipped, and I was like, oh my goodness! Like you could just tell the crowd was like, oh god, she's special.
I lost it. And again, the crowd on their feet. That the whole that moment in a match where the crowd like not gets it, but do you know what I mean? Like it was the investment in there was just, you know, like I say, Bayley selling the
awesome.
perfectly, and just the near falls were great, and like. But Jaxie, do you think my only issue would have either Nick Aldis or Adam Pearce tell everyone people are bound for ringside this weekend? Because that's why I know Solo or Imperium or Damage Control or anything like that. But from a match standpoint, as Monty said, this was fantastic, you know.
Yeah, I mean, again, I did wonder why we weren't having any of them coming out, and then I remembered they kind of brought it back up that they were actually banned. And at first I was slightly disappointed because I was like, it kind of felt like Bayley needed to like take out, or like it would have been a great moment to see like them all running towards the ring and Bayley taking all of them out and still being able to pin EO to like get one over on the whole of Damage Control, because that's kind of what I presumed would have happened. But from a one-on-one standpoint, so that we can just watch these two women wrestle, this was perfect. There were no distractions, and I have to completely agree with Monty on everything he said about this match. I think this match, and if you go back to our predictions podcast, you will hear me say that I was least invested in this match because I felt like the promo and the build up and everything was forgotten about. I felt like Bayley was forgotten about as a Royal Rumble winner, and this is why I made the poor choice of actually thinking that EO was going to retain, and that was due to would have been due to the help of Damage Control. James, shut up. Either way, though, I think this was perfect. I have to agree with Monty that this ended up being my favorite women's match of the night, and that was because they were not only given the time, but they themselves were just amazing in the ring to watch. Either one of them, they looked so strong. They had such hype moments, and you felt like the crowd did not dip with this match. The crowd were there for that match. The crowd were invested with that match, and it was great to actually feel like I was vibing off of the fans' excitement as well, who were reacting live. And this is coming from someone who lives in the UK, so it means that I would have had to have gone to work on Monday, avoiding all social media, then come home to watch it. So I wouldn't have had that same excitement of watching it live like everyone else. So to feed off of even the fans' excitement, it actually felt like it was resonated in this match. And I think it was a great match. I'm really happy for Bayley. I'm kind of happy to take the L here because I think that Bayley deserved that. And I think that the match itself, like Io and Bayley, did some top work.
Yeah. Gina, I'll ask you this. It is crazy to think that this was Bayley's first singles match at WrestleMania compared to the other horsewomen. And you think out of all of them, she gets the least respect, and it's great that she's got a moment.
Yeah, I definitely get where you're coming from there. I mean, I think it hasn't helped because Bailey has been in and out of injury sort of over the years. So in some instances, she may have got her WrestleMania moment a lot earlier if she wasn't injured a few years ago. But regardless, I still think that it's an amazing accomplishment for Bailey to have gotten this moment, you know, and she truly deserved it. I do feel like out of the four horsewomen, if you want to call them, she is the one that kind of, I felt like at first Becky Lynch was the one that was more at the bottom of the pack out of the four, but it feels like it's flipped and it's actually Bailey who's been at the bottom for a good couple of years now. So I'm so happy for her getting this win, and I hope that she has a really, really great reign with the championship. And the other thing I'll say is Io and Bailey just killed it, and I think it helped because they are such good friends, and I bet they had fun. They were like, let's go out there and smash it and pull out all the stops on each other here. So let's do it. And you could tell they both felt so dedicated into that match that you could feel it, and the crowds, you know, were just as hyped behind them.
You're out of doubt. And Monty, again, get your score out of 5, but CEO for Mae Young, for my pick, actually, in the Mae Young Classic to kill at Mania. She has so much confidence. And she even will work better as a face, which is even crazy to think. Like the kind of potential that EO has got now as well. And like I said, this was just a great match. What would you score out of 5?
Yeah, they've only scratched the surface, to be honest, with what EO is capable of. I believe it or not, I love this, man. It was similar. I think it was right in that Gunther Sami Zayn spot. So I mean, I gave it 5. This was just top stuff. I could be overflating it, but it was just I want more of this style of just going out there and letting the ladies go out there and show that they are some of the best in the world. And like you mentioned, for Bayley to get this moment, she's been deserving of it. You know, no matter how you want to rank the four horsewomen, you know, she has always been damn good, and it was just cool for her to finally get some recognition and to do it with EO, someone who, like I said, for years to come can be one of the greatest and is already one of the greatest women to wrestle ever. This is just beautiful for me, man. So I may be a little bit higher than most, but I gave it 5.
Yeah, like I said, I loved it. And I was going to say that as well, but being in that Gunther Zane slot, I hope that's something that Triple H can make like a WrestleMania tradition now. Do you know what I mean? Or something like that, because it really is a good spot. Jaxie, what would you score this out of 5?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 5 as well. I think overall across both nights, I think this was my favorite women's match. And I think that both women did so great in the ring. It was really hard to like look away from the match because you, like, 1 minute Io was on top, and then the next minute Bailey was. It was just very stop and start. Both women gave it their all, and I just felt that effort that came from both of them. So I think I'm going to go and give it a 5 too.
And Gina, I will say this actually as well. It's so weird, isn't it, hearing Michael Cole 100% behind Bailey?
Yeah,
that was weird.
So weird. Especially when Bailey gives him so much shit all the time, especially like when she first sort of emerged with Damage Control. She's like, yeah, you see that, Michael? Every time she's in the ring and everything. So it's so weird to just hear, you know, Michael just praising her. It's like, Michael, you okay?
What would you score this?
Well, I gave this a 5.
4.95. Really good stuff. Predictions: Jaxie and Monty went EO, Gina and James went Bailey. So Jaxie and Monty on 4, Gina, James are on 5, with just one match left. The main event: undisputed WWE Universal Championship, Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. Both men had epic entrances fit for an event with this magnitude. And Brandy Rose made an appearance with her husband. The American Nightmare Skullmaster was great, made by the same guy who did Braids as well. But Jaxie, it was good to see Brandy, and again, it made you think, shit, Saint's going down here.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was shocked to see her there at the entrance, but it was a little feel good moment that I actually appreciated. It was really nice, actually. You know, again, adds to the story, adds to, you know, how important this is a match, important a night this is for Cody. That this whole WrestleMania has been built around him. Why wouldn't you have your wife right there? You know? So this made absolute sense. And yeah, it really did give me a feel good moment, like right at the very start of this match, you know, like, you know, giving you that extra oomph to go, come on, Cody, you've got to win this now, you know? It very much like a Sammy moment again, you know?
Right, and Gina, of course, Danny Reigns coming out to the orchestra, playing him to the ring. I mean, I loved that. That was just befitting a champion, isn't it, you know?
Yeah, again, I expected him to have a great entrance, but I think that was so fitting for him. I was like, look at this prick. He's actually got an orchestra out for himself. I fucking love it. He was just brilliant. And like, you know for a fact that all of those orchestra, whether they were on Team Reigns or Team Cody, they were like, no, we're all Team Reigns. If he wants us singing his song, we're singing his song. And they were going for it.
Yeah.
Just
The
fair
drummer
play
was
to them.
living his best life. I will
He
say
was.
that. Like. And again, you knew how big this was, because I will say, like, night one, yeah, The Rock there, and as Monty mentioned, a lot of people in the crowd watching The Rock, and it felt night two, we were all there to see if Cody could finish his story, the cheer at the bell, and you realise, yeah, this is actually a really big match. And once they finally got going, they circled each other till Rose pushed Reigns to the corner. And despite this match being under Bloodline rules, they worked a standard match at first with holds, counters, and takedowns, like we'd see. Once the Tribal Chief was sent into the ring post, Rose decided it was time to pull out a table. Reigns hit a drive-by dropkick and put the table back under the ring just to make the crowd angry. They battled in the ring at ringside, and in the crowd they used weapons and then part of the set and anything else they could find that would inflict damage. And what surprised me, Monty, and I don't know about you, but the fans were reacting to the near falls, even though we hadn't seen The Rock or any of the Bloodline yet. You know, that's how invested they were.
Yeah, you know, and I know you're gonna get to it, but that's the thing that I think people forgot about last year. I've been trying to tell people who just was so wrapped up in how things ended, and I understand it was emotional and that ending was, you know, was contentious. But that they wrestled a beautiful match the year before. They have insane chemistry for people who only touched each other really twice since Cody's been back. You know, if you really think about it, this is the second time they've really just been in the ring. For, you know, so for two guys that don't, they just show you how much they really get it, and they're both was at the top of their game when it comes to wrestling. Because you're 100% right. We all knew that most likely it wouldn't be over that quick, but we was into every single thing they did, because that's just how invested in the story, and that's just how good these two guys really are at this time, because they just on top of their game.
And another thing they played into as well is like even Reigns saying, "This is my company, you little bitch," and you know, and like we talk about this perceived war and thinking, yeah, would they really let Cody? You know, Roman's, you know, this is his company, you know? And pulling out like the perfect plex and the last ride. And again, Roman, I don't know if I mentioned it, but he looked like a god. You know, again,
yes,
his body, he came in at his absolute best. Like, I don't think we've seen Roman look like this. I don't think ever, you know. But,
chiseled.
Oh my God, just woof. Anyway, as with any main event world title belt, there were several false finishes to build anticipation for the pin. Obviously, using each other's finishing move as well was really, really good. But this is when things went down. We see Jimmy showing up to help out Roman, and then Jey Uso coming down, and you're wondering, oh, what's going to happen? And all of a sudden, you see Jey taking Jimmy off the stage. I mean, Gina, how fun was this moment with Jey? Do you know what I mean? It was the start of something special, but just having this, like, the box ticked off.
Like, this is what I expected from their match on night one.
Yeah.
Like, that was just so lit, just seeing, you know, Jey come running out and just go for it, you know, and just take his brother off stage. It was just chaotic, and that's what I was expecting from their first night. It was great.
It's fucking unbelievable. Through the table, set ringside. Not ringside, down at stage. I'm so excited about this. It's excellent. So the Sokoa Low showed up and almost cost Rose the match. There was Solo was talking to, I mean, Jackson, I don't know about you, but Solo was talking a lot of shit to Roman. You know what I mean? Like, get up and Reigns like, yeah, I know we got to jump.
I know,
like,
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like the spear and spike combo couldn't keep Cody down. And again, it's just like, what's going to happen?
That
and then,
just felt like such a great moment from Cody's section, because even I was just completely stone cold shocked. When I saw that spike and spear connection, I was like, damn, did we read this wrong? Is he really not going to finish this story? Shit, he's getting pinned. So to see a kick out, it was, you know, all I can think about is pure adrenaline was going through Cody at that point, and he was like, no, get up now. You know,
Well,
this is the moment of truth.
well, like I said, he's got adrenaline in his soul. But with Sikoa
Yeah.
and Reigns there, it looked like he was going to be beaten until John Cena made his way down and fought Sikoa. Of course, last time we saw Cena was when Solo beat him back in the Saudi show. And Cena was on fire, hitting Reigns with an attitude adjustment and then taking Sikoa out on the announce table. And again, Jax, he's seen Cena here and being that part. It was just like another tick off and just going, I've never been more excited to see John Cena in my life.
I'm not gonna lie, I actually was so lit hearing this music, like, and to be honest, instantly I got reminded of the match between Solo and Cena, and this made sense to me. This made absolute sense as to why John was coming out right now, and it's like we all forgot about that, you know? It happened last year, so for us, we all forgot about that. We all thought Cody's done, like you were done for. Who else have you got coming out? Because Seth ain't coming out. He took an L earlier. He ain't coming out again just to get a whoop ass or whatever. So no one was expecting Cena, of all people, like the music to drop like that.
It's fucking
I was lit. I got
unbelievable.
lit for it. I really
Well,
did
it was-
get lit for it, and I'm not the biggest fan of John Cena constantly coming back every now and again. Like, I think if you go through our pods, you can hear that. But this for me was an exciting moment.
Then you get the vision of Cena standing over Sikoa at the announce table and you wonder what's next. All of a sudden, the Rock's music hit. And again, Monty, I said shit got real, but shit got fucking real because the reaction, it was just like a, oh. And I don't think it was just everybody in the stadium. It was everybody, even us messaging each other at the time, was just like, oh, shit. The Rock coming down and face-to-face with John Cena again at WrestleMania. Wonder what's going to happen. And Rock just taking him out with the Rock Bottom. And then the Shield music hit. And Seth Rollins showed up with a chair with Reigns cutting off Super Punch. I mean, at this point, we're just going, what the fuck, you know?
Bro, when that music hit, I know I saw the tweet. Everybody had to run through your mind just to show you how delusional we all are. I know I wasn't the only one who was like, no fucking way Moxley's here. Why the hell would he be
I'm so
here?
glad you said that. Yeah, no, I
That's
thought...
exactly what I was thinking. It was like, no way. Because, like she just mentioned, Seth had got beat early, so I was like, would Seth be back? But to see him, and then like you mentioned, Roman is like, nope, not again. Seeing Seth in the Shield gear in the chair, he just immediately, boop, sit down, boy, sit down. I'm like, oh my God, poor Seth.
So to set the stage at that moment in time, Reigns then was down after taking out Rollins, and it was Cody and The Rock. And The Rock, of course, had the weight belt that he'd used on their
looking at Mama
Raw,
Rose
and the night before, looking at Mama Rose, talking shit with a bleep machine. And I'd tell you what as well, The Rock, I think dressed as like Elvis, like the pantsuit, wherever it was, fucking just
Yeah.
stop, you know. And then, as he looking to attack Cody, all of a sudden, Undertaker's gong sounded, and it went black, and we'll only say for 10 seconds, rather than the 34 it took him to get in. Unbelievable. As the lights came on, and the Undertaker is standing behind The Rock, and he hits him with a choke slam. I mean, Gina, at this point, I could give a fuck. Like, I'm going, I'm literally going this, so I'm going to have to step away from the microphone. I'm going, is he Undertaker? Like, that's what I'm doing. Like, this was...
Yeah, no, definitely. Again, me and my sister were watching this together, and I was like, this is like some Avengers moment, you know, where you just start recruiting the other Avengers, thinking, no, come out. You see your arch enemy, you come out. So, you know, like, again, with
It's like
Jimmy
that
and
moment,
Jay.
you know, when Captain America like turns up at the train station to save like Vision's ass, in Scotland or whatever. It was like that type of moment.
Exactly. It's just like Avengers assemble here. You know, we just had to call in everyone as soon as one came out. So as soon as like, you know, Jimmy came out, Jay was there. As soon as Solo came out, John Cena was there. And because John Cena came out, The Rock was there. And it was just one after another. And I was just watching this like mind blown. I couldn't take it all in. So
Like, I mean, do you know what? My face was like, you know, when Brock Lesnar pinned The Undertaker at WrestleMania and lost his score, and it was the black guy's face. It went viral. Yeah, that was my face at hearing that gong. I was like, no. Are you fucking kidding
what?
me?
I was transported like 25 years, whatever it was, to watch it as a kid again. Like that moment there,
Yeah.
especially Undertaker. You know, people going, "Oh, Stone Cold," and being like, "The Undertaker there." Attacking the two people that cost him his WrestleMania loss, Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns. And not only that, being the conscience of WrestleMania over 40 years. I fucking took that.
Exactly.
And then
perfect.
Then we get to the point with Roman Reigns in the ring with a chair in his hand. He sees Cody, but looks across Monty and sees Seth frickin' Rollins. And as we know,
in
it
Shield
all started in Shield. It couldn't be more perfect. How it all started, how it's going. We know what Seth did to Roman, and Roman couldn't let it lie. He was betrayed by his brothers and started a bloodline, but Roman still wanted revenge on Rollins, so hit him with that steel chair. Look round and threw the chair away, actually. And do you think that was overconfidence? Do you think at that point, Monty, Reigns was like,
I think he blacked out, man. He just blacked out. Like he hit him with the chair, and it was so cathartic. He was like, "Oh, son of a bitch! Like that's what you get." And he just like, "All right, I see Cody. Let me spear him. Let me get out. Let's get out of here. There's too much going on." Like I feel like he literally was in another place for a second, and he just, you know what? I threw the chair, not thinking straight. Like you mentioned, he just everything about Seth takes him out of his game, and I think that's exactly what happened right there. You know, even Seth having the black and blonde. When he dyed his hair months ago, I didn't even think that this could be something like I didn't even think that this could connect, but it connected so perfectly because being black and blonde reminds him of Shield.
You know, Monty, I didn't even cotton on to like obviously I know his hair color changed, but I did not even cotton on to the reference until he was in the full gear, and it was in that moment that it hit me. Look at his hair. Look at his hair. You know, I was like, oh my gosh. Did anyone else see this?
It was so disappointing because we didn't really get to see Seth that much. Like the camera wasn't on him. So when the music dropped, I was looking around everywhere waiting to see him in his Shield gear. We literally got 0.5 of a second of a shot of him in that gear before he just already got tech out. Thanks to Roman. And it was kind of like the Drew moment where I'm like, Drew, take your belt and run. Like, I literally was just like screaming, Roman, what are you doing? Why are you hitting Seth when he's nothing to do with you or this match? Go and hit Cody.
It was just also like, is that overconfidence that Monty said, though, that got, you know, Roman, like, you know, got Roman cocky enough to like throw away the chair. I mean, honestly, I did have that moment of, why did you just throw that chair away? Like, shouldn't you just be taking it out on Cody? Like, this is Bloodline rules. You can do what you want now. Why did you chuck it? So that was like a really
and cockiness. It's a little bit of both. PTSD and cockiness.
Again, the whole point of Seth, like I said, being the Iron Man, sacrificing himself. He told Cody Rhodes he was going to be your shield when no one believed. He's going to be your shield. And when we said that, we were like, that's a stupid line. He literally was his shield. The reason. Rollins lost everything at WrestleMania for Cody to have this opportunity. But the opportunity looked to be over as Roman Reigns looked to go for the spear. And as he went, ooh, ah! went to go for it. I'm into it. The American Nightmare managed to get his boot up. And then after 3 crossroads, the 1, 2, 3, and incredibly, your new WWE Universal Undisputed Champion, Cody Rhodes, has finished his story, as Michael Cole has said. My God, even talking about it reminds me how great it really was. Jaxie, why don't you start us off with quite possibly one of the best main events I've ever seen?
Yeah. Uh, Again, I think this match exceeded expectations. I think we were already going into this. We expected loads of interruptions and interactions and stuff, but I don't think like we expected this level of shock to come out of the match itself. And I think going from the beginning of the match, you really don't realize like how much carnage. You wouldn't expect so much carnage to happen like halfway through the match, because a lot of the first half of the match really is just one-on-one. Like that's all you get. And like I think again this goes back to what you and Monty were discussing, but this goes back to saying like, people went past that anticipation of when are the bloodline going to get involved, because it went on for so long of just being Roman and Cody. So when all of this started to play out, that they did not let us breathe. It was like one after the other after the other, and it just built up that excitement for this match again. And everything about this match was perfectly executed. I have absolutely loved the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns' reign as champion. I think this way of ending a story for Cody was perfectly executed. I think the match itself was not disappointing at all. And I think that both men still came out looking great. I have no sort of like bad things to say about this match at all, I don't think. I can't think of one.
I will say though, Jaxie, it's crazy to think that this is your 8th WrestleMania on the podcast, and yet this is only the second WWE Universal Champion you've had. Like Roman Reigns became champion, I think, a month before you joined.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
His whole reign of like 1,316 days. That's all we've known. Even as a group,
Exactly.
This is how big it is. The four of us
that
have only known Roman as champion.
Exactly. We've got to like move past Roman now. We're all going to be a bit lost, I think. We're going into a complete new era at this point, aren't we? Because all of us as a group are now going to have to discuss something other than Roman over the next few months. So we're going into new territory. But this match to me was just everything that it needed to be, and a perfect way to end WrestleMania, in my opinion.
Well, Gina, much like Seth and Drew, Cody and Roman have crazy chemistry, and again, it is only 1-1 at the moment. That's not, they've got WrestleMania against each other, so possibilities are there.
Yeah.
And I'll be more than happy to see it.
I mean, they definitely do. Again, you mentioned this a bit earlier, that this is like their second time just going against each other since Cody came back to the WWE. So the fact that they have this much chemistry already in the ring just shows how professional they both are and how much they can both sell a story when they're given good content to go with, So they both smashed it. They both had me invested. I was on Cody's side, but I also felt like I was betraying my tribal chief, and it felt like a personal battle to me watching this match, because I wanted both to win, and we know that both can. So yeah, it was a bit difficult to watch and have a favorite, because one minute I'm rooting for Cody, the next I'm shouting at Roman for not hitting Cody harder. I don't know. I'm still in two minds about it. I'm still feeling like I'm really gutted we've lost our tribal chief, but I'm also so happy. Yeah, I'm happy Cody finished his story. So I'm still conflicted even after. And that's when you've had a good match, that you're still conflicted about the winner after the match has happened,
Yeah. Well, I think one thing genuine as well, and again, Monty, as we talked about this with the characters of Roman and Cody being as kind of real as they are as that person themselves, if you know what I mean. And again, it's just the personality maybe turned up a little bit. But Roman's smile as well when he got pinned, kind of the passing of the torch. You know what I mean? It's all these kind of little things that just made it such a great moment.
Yeah, man. Think about it. Since WrestleMania 31, no one has been in that main event, but other than Roman Reigns versus insert name here. So he's been silently. I know. He never wanted the Shield to break up. That plays into the self stuff. There's a lot of stuff in his doc that kind of put a lot of stuff in context to how we got where we are now and who he is. And as much fun as he's had, he's also been carrying this company a long time before he ever came up with the tribal chief. But the tribal chief is 100% him. A lot of the reason why he was not accepted at the beginning was because honestly, not only did we all know he was the guy and it felt manufactured, but Roman would be the first to tell you the big dog or whatever they were doing for a lot of his run just truly wasn't him. But who he is as the tribal chief, who he became, and the way, like you said, to be there, to do everything he's done over the last 4 years for the business, to master storytelling during the pandemic the way he did, bringing us right back into where we are with fans to tell this story with a guy like Cody Rhodes, who at the same time has a legacy also. Dusty Rhodes was close with The Rock's father. Dusty Rhodes was close with The Rock. Dusty Rhodes, he's one of the Dusty kids from the NXT days, like a Seth Rollins, like a Roman Reigns. So that connection that him and Cody has just ties into this and makes this a beautifully wrapped story. And it's just something, like you said, it's crazy to think with all the shakes and turns in both of their careers that this match all felt 10 years in the making somehow. And did you see what I'm saying? Like, how can something where one guy leaves the company and Roman goes through all the changes that he went through over pretty much for the last decade, and then for them to wrap it up perfectly like they did, you can't tell me it wasn't a more fitting end. You can't tell me you can come up with a more fitting end to that reign, if you see what I'm trying to say. Like, it was just perfect, very, very WWE. But like you mentioned, at the same time, it was a great wrestling match also. Like, it was the definition of sports entertainment was this main event or professional wrestling. The definition of it is right there in that main event, because you got all the bells and whistles, all the entertainment that we grew up on. You mentioned you teleported to back when you were a kid. Well, trust me, that's what it felt like, having those run-ins and all of that. You can't tell me that's not an attitude era feeling like thing when we just had all of that chaos where you just don't know what's going to happen next. That's what it felt like. And then you add on top the modern era style wrestling and who they are as characters. It was just beautifully done, man. Beautifully done.
Well, like you said as well, and again, watching as just someone who would watch WrestleMania, you're watching two guys having a great main event. Oh, look, here comes, Jimmy and Jay, there's Solo, or Cena and all this lot. And you're going, oh, that's really fun. But if you're a fan who've invested your time, like you said the MCU or anything else would be, then you're getting so many different kind of Easter eggs and payoffs for the story. And even creating stuff in your mind that might not be intentional. But again, you know what I mean? It's there now. And again, where we come from this in a new era with Cody as champion and being a guy, let's make no bones about it. This is a kind of passing of the torch. Cody will be carrying the flag as the number one guy. And again, and Jackson and Gina, you agree with me here, this doesn't come around that often. Like we said, we've had it with Roman. We've seen it before.
It really does.
So, this is... I can't emphasize just how huge, not with Reigns' title reign. And again, we'll look back on his title reign in 10 or 15 years and be like, man, that was incredible. And again, it feels like it's just getting started. And we're going to speak about Raw and SmackDown and everything like this. But yeah, it was just, and people comparing it to like WrestleMania 17. This was better than 17, the main event. Like the finish was so much better. And again, it's an opening now, much like WrestleMania 14, to a new era. And when we had 20 minutes to celebrate it, and why the fuck not? Triple H, Pritchard, Zayn, Cole, Orton. Is that a sign of things to come? And again, with Cody, you got that story. And so it's an end of an era. We have a different WWE champion, 1,316 days, August 20th, 2020. And you wonder what was happening that long time ago. Well, August 13th, 2020, Cody lost the TNT title to Brody Lee. So that just shows you how much can change in that period. It is a new era. I think out of 5, we're all going to give that 5, aren't we? That's not really much.
Yeah.
Yep.
Predictions. we all went Reigns. So final scores: Jaxie, Monty on 5, James, Gina on 6. So both with
We all
perfect
went
scores.
Cody.
Oh, we all went Cody. Yes. So I get excited. Whatever. Well, whatever.
I was
No,
just
let me read this. Jaxie still loses. Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah,
Shut
Jaxie, Monty on 5, James, Gina on 6, both with perfect score. But Gina wins both nights of WrestleMania. My streak is still alive because it's not been beaten over 2 nights. But Gina,
Your streak
next
is
year,
really, James. You lost night 1 though.
yeah, but I don't lose. The streak is alive if I don't lose both nights. I'm undefeated
Oh my
WrestleMania
God.
weekend, you see.
I love it.
So
You make your
anyway,
emotions up.
no,
But I am
this
the
is where it
queen of
goes.
the whole weekend. Okay, I'm the queen of the whole
Well,
weekend,
Gina,
and
you
I
and
am.
me next year. It's my 10-0 versus your undefeated streak.
No, James, you won't be around next year. You're just going to be too busy crying from the losses from the rest of your year. So
Do you know
not
what? I
bothered.
can't believe I'm
I
going to
have
say this.
Wow. Thought you
No,
was gonna say you're
but
gonna
to
be in
be
the
fair,
dirt, bro.
yeah. But again, because I am such a giving person, because Gina, you won all 3 events, stand and live, and both nights of WrestleMania. Obviously, you get 1 bonus point if it's just 2 events, but I'm going to give you 2 bonus points for what you got, 3 out of 3, which is tremendous. And of course, the second Mania victory
Yeah.
back to back. Yeah. Anyway, as Meatloaf said, with me, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So people are going, oh, James, you didn't do well. What, 2 out of 3 events? Yeah, all right. What do you think I am? Jaxie. So the WNR Prediction League 2024, after
James.
night 2, W Prediction League, Jaxie's on 0, Monty, James and Gina on 2. That's how tight it's become now. All on 2 points there. Bonus League, Monty, you're in a bit of trouble now, son. Jaxie on 7. I'm on 11. Gina's on 15. Monty on 16. What a weekend for Gina. Literally clawed back like 5 points for you, Monty. What you got to say about yourself, Monty, with that?
Still on top, buddy. Still on
And
top.
I'm never going to catch up. I'm never catching up at this point. Never.
You will,
Well,
sis. trust.
Gina
Well.
got 6 points this weekend. What the fuck?
I told you it's the
It's a
G
long
side.
year, buddy.
It's G
It's a long
side
year.
work.
It's a long year. Jackson, don't give up. It's a long year. You got this.
Well,
I'm the only one who
obviously,
believes
Watch
in you.
me
I
crawl
guess.
back
I'm the
in the
only one who
G1.
believes in you.
Watch. It's fine. Watch me crawl back in the G1. I'll pick up points then.
yeah, we don't actually do points. But anyway, don't worry. So, match
Oh, damn.
overall is the main event. All right, that's fine. Jaxie, if it makes you feel better, I'll come to you first. Who's your MVP and what is your rating out of 10?
MVP is going to be Cody. But I do want to give like a sort of special shout out to Bailey. Because I think she did really well. Overall, I'm gonna give this a 9. I thought that like a lot of the matches really exceeded my expectations, and I thoroughly enjoyed night 2.
Gina?
Yeah, I'm going to give this a 9 as well. Both WrestleManias were worth a 9 for me, and they're the best WrestleManias that I've seen in a very long time. So a 9 for me. And MVP, do you know what? I'll give a special shout out to Cody, but I'll give mine to Bailey.
Monty?
Yeah, man. Bailey definitely deserves love, but Cody's the MVP. 1,300 days. Just come on, man. Like, you just got to give props. Thank you, Roman. Thanks for carrying the company. But like you mentioned, like they mentioned a billion times, new era, new Cody's time, and yeah, man. 9. I gotta give it 9.5, man. This is really good. This is as close to perfect as you can get. I honestly don't think anything on here was even remotely uninteresting or bad. So yeah, man, night 2 was unbelievably good. Like ever since they did this 2-night format, this is probably the first time I thought night 2 was significantly better than 1, and I thought 1 was damn good. So this is really good, man. This is as close to perfect as you can get.
Yeah. Like you said, this is the thing, isn't it? I mean, classics like the Infinity Saga or whatever it is, this being the second night, being better than the first, but without the first, couldn't set this up. Or even chucking WrestleMania 39 and call it the Star Wars, the original trilogy, and to be able to have it like that. But whatever it is a real change, and it is, I think, the greatest WrestleMania of all time. And I know it sounds really fucking stupid, but I think with what we've seen, it truly is a new era. Apart from Kabuki, of course, US and Ripley all change. So this starts, So I'm going to give this a 10. 10 out of 10. I don't think it can be matched, and I don't think it will for a very long time. I've been waiting 8 years for WrestleMania like this, and it's finally come along. And MVP, everyone gets it. There you go. Fair play. Talk about streaks ending low. We know Roman Reigns, 1,316 days. Gunther, 666 days. Might want to change that. Seth Rollins, 316. Seth Rollins, 316 days. Io Sky, 245 days. And Judgment Day, 171 days. And that's it for ends of reigns. There's no one else that I should mention. Yeah. So anyway, my only problem
5 minutes. 5 minutes, James. Don't forget.
Yeah, you forgot. It was like
range.
4 minutes something for Drew. So he made history. I think he's made the shortest title run. At least he made history.
Nah, Big Show did. Press conference. So Damian Priest, to start the press conference, when asked what message he wants to send to Puerto Rico, he said the whole island behind him and the whole culture, he couldn't be prouder of his people. He said this is the hottest WWE's ever been. The company is doing things he actually never dreamed of. It's something he's humbled and proud of. And he likes the idea of the World Heavyweight title being a workhorse title. He thanks Seth Rollins for taking the championship to a higher level. And like you said, June, as well, he talked about being homeless 10 years ago as well. And just a cool fucking guy,
Yeah, he definitely is. And it just makes me more and more intrigued to just, keep backing Damien. And I know that people have made fun of him, or we've made fun of him because of how long he had held that briefcase for. But clearly it was worth it in the end because he cashed in and it worked.
Well, we got Bailey. During her questions, Bailey brought up Jada Stone and the T-shirt she was wearing. She explained Stone used to wait outside every single time to see wrestlers. Now she's wrestling on the indies. She said that used to be her. She brought up names like Ripley, Blair, Morgan, Zoe Stark, who are coming up due to the success of the 4 Horsewomen. She said exactly that's what they wanted. When Stephanie McMahon and Brandy Rose names come up, Bailey said McMahon was such an awesome person to have around and called her genuine. She also noted she was sitting down next to Brandy during the main event and had to rub her back to calm her down. And as we said, Jaxie, Bailey truly deserves it and seems humble in victory as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's a nice feel-good feeling, and it's also nice to see Bailey grateful and thankful, for this. So.
You heard that. And then Cody said there was a difference between in the main event and being the main event. Roman Reigns' run with the title was the greatest in both sports and entertainment. He hoped he could be half the champion he was there for. And he's there as WWE as a leader and as a quarterback. He said it was great to see the celebration with everybody. And when he went backstage as well, he was given a watch, which was apparently his dad's watch, who pawned that so Cody could get acting lessons as well. Very emotional moment. And then when asked what he'd say to Cody, what he say to his dad, he said, I hope that I lived up to your name and thank you for that name. And then I would say sorry for the tattoo. And again, Monty, this is Cody being the workhorse. He's just had the greatest WrestleMania main event, and now he has to go out there and answer questions.
Yeah, man. Just doing everything. That's one thing about Cody. He's always there thanking the fans, always doing all the things. I think he mentioned John Cena giving him advice when he lost. He said that on the MMA Hour that John Cena told him when he lost to be the champion without the belt. And if there's any guy that I felt like the last year since he lost last year who was just walking around being a top guy, doing all the right thing. I know some people joke that he's like a politician kissing babies and whatever, but no, it's not just that. He's being the guy. He's showing up to all the media appearances. He's performing in the ring at every live event, and he's doing everything, flying fans out to watch him wrestle. Like he's just, again, he's a perfect person to just have in this spot, and it's just kind of it's so interesting when you think about how far he's come, and just again what he still has a chance to do, because that's the beautiful thing about this. When you're the top guy in your new era, is always on to the next town, is always on to the next challenge, next story, and I'm really excited when you just listen to Cody talk. There's one thing about Cody, he's always been genuine. He's always been a great guy with the media and just in general. So I'm really excited to see what he can do on top, because I feel like if there's anybody who deserves it, just for all the work he's put in, it's Cody Rhodes.
Right out. And then Triple H said WrestleMania 40 set records for everything, basically. Biggest WrestleMania of all time. They're using 145,298 as a total combined number. When talking about Roman Reigns, he said he is the greatest of all time. And he said about Cody, it wasn't him finishing his story, it's about finishing the chapter. And he talked about the love he had for his father, Dusty, saying he could feel his dad today. He rejected the Triple H era and couldn't say enough good things about Nick Khan. Has anybody had such a U-turn as Nick Khan? Eh? In wrestling world.
They love
my
Nick
word.
Khan, bro.
Jesus, like.
Also, he loves Stephanie. Oh man.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my goodness! I think he heard those rumors. People were trying to say him and Stephanie was split up. Oh no, they haven't. Not the way Triple H was talking, man.
He said, "Man, my wife looked good, right?" You know. And when asked what it'd be like to do Triple H, he says, "It doesn't suck. He's loving doing what he does." And then April 8th, let's try the bump, shall we? Megan Morant and Sam Rosenberg at WWE World. Liv Morgan was a guest. Liv pleased Ripley won because she wants revenge. But Liv doesn't like Cody. Don't know what's going on there. Drew Barrymore was interviewed, and then Jey Uso said he had his dream match. He thinks the Bloodline's just getting started. What do you know, Jay, that we don't? He's happy for Sammy and upset for Roman. And then the Raw after Mania, the Triple H era kicked off with thank you Hunter chants as he came out to the ring. He said he's here to thank them. He said WrestleMania 40 was the greatest ever, and he introduced Cody Rhodes. Congratulated the American Nightmare on his big win, and then a special video package. And Jackson, this video was so well done. It shows you the journey Cody's been on.
Yeah, really well put together.
And then Rose talked about being at the front of the line. For The Rock hit the ring, was instantly greeted by chants ranging from Rocky Sucks to Shut the Fuck Up. We got Undertaker chants as well. We had a really awkward exchange of titles before the final boss warned the new champion that he's coming back after his upcoming hiatus. And then The Rock placed something in Rose's hand and told him not to break his heart again. Gina, what the fuck was this? I mean, I was expecting something between the two, but this was a little bit awkward. And what did he put in his hand?
Yeah, it was a bit awkward, and no idea. No idea. I expected Twitter to do a poll to say what did he put in there.
He said The Rock did say one good thing to Roman Reigns, to Cody Rhodes. So he said, "The story of Roman Reigns is over. You did it, but our story has just begun." The Rock warned him. And then we get Nakamura versus Io. The NXT champion will be in the upcoming draft on April 26th and April 29th. And the Mad Dragon slayed the King of Strong Style. We also saw, Roxanne Perez later talking about long-term storytelling, beating Indy Hartwell. Monty, again, it's still good to see these two talents on the main roster, and I guess it is coming to Smash.
Yeah, definitely. What I love the most about Ilya is just the immediate reaction to his music. It just shows that everybody can just automatically feel the reputation he's already built without even really being there. And what you didn't mention, but in between basically seeing Roxanne and all that, they kind of basically teased with having Ava back there when they talked about the draft coming up. So I think that's more so what this was, not necessarily saying these people will be Raw bound, just kind of showing you what two of the big champions, who they are for NXT, kind of introducing, because it seems like NXT will be involved this year in the draft. We'll see, but yeah, definitely exciting to see two talents that we we've blown that horn plenty of time for Roxanne and Dragon off at this point.
Yeah,
So it was
right.
really cool to see them on Raw.
We get a celebrity promo featuring the Judgment Day and new World Heavyweight Champion Damian Priest. How good did Priest look? Descending into chaos though, when R-Truth once again believed himself to be part of the group. Miz interrupted and a 6-man tag match was made. And R-Truth said he had a partner no one can see. Of course, it was John Cena who came out, and the babyfaces got the victory. And again, what a weekend, Jaxie, for R-Truth. Not only winning the titles, but finally parting with his childhood hero. And how cool did Priest look?
Yeah, I mean, again, this was a feel-good moment, really enjoyable, and just funny seeing like our true sort of getting those payoff moments.
Right, we got the Terror Twins that are going to come soon, of course, Priest and Ripley. We get a Sheamus vignette, and Liv Morgan attacked Rhea Ripley backstage for being pulled away by security. She wants... I mean, Gina, could she have done this earlier? Do you know what I mean? Or she'd waited for that right moment to throw the chair. And didn't Ripley manage to put her hand up?
She was definitely waiting for that moment just to throw the chair. The way the chair just came out of nowhere as well. I was like, shit. Like, what? Where the fuck did that come from? So she was definitely waiting. Who knows? Maybe she was telling the truth when Byron wasn't, and she was stood in that position for 5 hours waiting for Rhea.
Yeah, fucking true that. Sami Zayn and Chad Gable beat Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanna Vinci. Chelsea Green interrupted the conversation with the general managers and ended up getting Jade Cargill. Whoops. McIntyre called Priest bondage Undertaker and threatened to whip him, but he afraid he might like it, leading to the fatal 4-way number contendership match for a shot at the title. And then since McIntyre hit the ring, taking on Big Bronson Reed, Jey Uso, and of course Ricochet. It was action-packed, and McIntyre had it won. Now, again, if anybody can explain to me, I understand WrestleMania with Drew getting in Punk's face, but Drew did nothing on Monday, and yet as he going to finish the match with Claymore, Punk got involved. Can anybody explain to me why Punk would do that?
Months of internet trolling. You took WrestleMania away from me. You prayed for it, and you prayed for my injury.
You got your revenge. You got revenge.
No. Screw you forever. You prayed for my injury. I don't. What do you mean? No.
Right.
Screw you
CM
forever.
Punk. Fuck CM Punk. Uso took advantage and earned him a shot at the world title and Damian Priest. And do you know what? Seth becomes more right about everything every day. Even about CM Punk. You cannot trust Punk. We were meant to get Mania behind the curtain on YouTube, but no signs of it. Apparently still gathering footage. One bit of footage we did see was the all-in footage. Now, Jaxie, I know you're a big AEW fan, but them playing the all-in footage, what did it accomplish and what were your thoughts?
I don't think it accomplished anything. I think this was more to get everyone talking about the company. I don't think this did anything but make the company look a little bit petty, if I'm honest. And I just felt it was completely unnecessary. I felt there was no reason really why this needed to be shown to the public. It really should have just stayed. Like, we were trying to get over this, and now it seems like this whole thing's been brought up again. It's unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, and again, Gina, Punk wasn't lying, was he? He said, got up to him, just choked him a little bit. That's what we saw.
Yeah, he literally did as Punk said.
Yeah. Fucking. I mean, Monty, what were your thoughts? Because again, we've seen cheap desperation tactics from WCW before, but was there any?
Yeah.
Did it help build FTR versus the Bucks?
Hell no. And I think that's probably the biggest issue. The biggest issue is that, and I think that might be what, I think they added a ladder stipulation, and I think that might be a reason why we get in the ladder match, because they realize they have to do something to spice this up, because it damn sure wasn't adding the video package. They didn't need the heat. I mean, it's the Bucks versus FTR. It's like your biggest possible tag team rivalry in your company history at this point. So it's like, I don't think you needed to go that route, even if you are planning on bringing back Jack Perry. I just didn't think that this was necessary to do. And again, it backfired. You had Okada and Pac in the ring, two of the best in the world, and the fans were chanting CM Punk. Like, You can't tell me that that's what you want to see at the end of your show. And it definitely backfired. I agree with everything that was mentioned earlier. Just wasn't really a smart move, and it just didn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
We'll move on then finally to SmackDown April 12th on American Nightmare with another in-ring promo. And then we get LA Knight versus Bobby Lashley versus Santos Escobar. Of course, we're going to get 2 triple threat matches. Winner facing next week to face Cody at Backlash. And we saw Knight ended up winning during the chaos with everything that was going on. Heyman, Sikoa and Jimmy Uso in the ring to talk about WrestleMania. They said Reigns doesn't blame anyone who interfered in his match and wants the Bloodline to take full accountability. Sikoa said losing has consequences and got in Jimmy's face. He gave him a hug and said he loved him before Tama Tonga attacked him from behind. Solo and Tama destroyed him for taking Heyman's phone and crushing it. They put a chair around Jimmy's neck. And so he said he loved him again for hitting a running hip strike as Heyman screamed, "Is this what the Tribal Chief would want?" No. I mean, wow. Gina, when you got betrayed by Jaxie, is this how it felt?
Yep, exactly how it felt. And it's crazy because they tried to tell you, we love you. Well, you clearly don't because you didn't choose me. So I definitely felt for Jimmy in this instance, but in another way, Jimmy deserved it. So it's kind of like, you did this to your twin, bruv. So you can't exactly go crying now and be like, oh, he's turned on me. Well, that's your own fault in a way. Sorry, but it is,
I mean, but how good is it, Jaxie, to see Tama Tonga in WWE, even if it's horrible for Jimmy? But it does open a door, maybe, like we talked about in the future.
It's nice to see him join the Bloodline. Like, there's been rumors about him joining the WWE for a while now, but I thought it was going to be via NXT. So, but this does make perfect sense. A lot of people are doing the rounds of like the connection of Haku and Tama Tonga and then Rikishi and Solo. So this makes a lot of sense. On a level from me where I have been recently watching New Japan, I'm a fan of Tama Tonga. Excited to see what he can bring to WWE.
Yeah, and Heyman acting terrified of Sikoa was great because we don't actually know how Roman feels about this. Bayley came out to a great ovation and chants of "You deserved it" as she put over the locker room and says she wanted to challenge someone. Tiffany Stratton came out. Oof, oof. Bayley said she wasn't an open challenge. She wanted to give Naomi a title shot. Instead, we got Naomi versus Tiffany, with Naomi beating Tiff. I guess it wasn't Tiffy time. And it will be Naomi versus Bayley for the Women's Championship. Chelsea Green and Piper Niven were shown with matching outfits. Look great. Asked for a match because they get disrespected on Raw. Unfortunately, they got disrespected on SmackDown against Belair and Cargill. And then the main event on Friday's show was a triple threat between Mysterio, Owens, and Styles. The Phenomenal One hit a Super Styles clash with Mysterio onto Owens and perfectly rolled him into a pin. Was probably one of the greatest fucking moves I've ever seen. The show ended with Knight and Styles having a standoff. I mean, Monty, again, we're going to get AJ and Knight again, which continues that feud. And we got this match here. Mm-hmm. And again, that finish was fucking perfect.
Yeah, man, these are just 3 greats, just doing what they do, man. I thought that just showed you that the internet is just a fake place, because I could have swore I saw people trying to tell me AJ was washed. And I think between Mania and what he did in this one with a guy like Ray, who's never slowing down, and then you got Kevin, who's just always great, you can't tell me AJ Styles just don't have the triple threat match format mastered. This was just another awesome one. He's had a lot of them in his career. And it was cool to kind of see him do that in a creative way. It just felt like everything they did in that match was creatively free and just really well done. Had a German suplex spot. I know Ray took a stunner off the apron and kind of flew. That was great. Like, it was just that match was very, very great. It was paced well, and I love the outcome. Getting LA Knight and AJ again for some stakes is gonna be awesome. And then honestly, even though I think I prefer AJ to win so he can fight Cody, because I think it's just going to be a dream match and it's a heel-face dynamic. LA Knight getting that spot wouldn't even be – I wouldn't even be that mad at that either. I just feel like I don't want LA Knight to lose big matches so soon, at least to a guy like Cody. He shouldn't lose another title match. I think AJ can actually get in there and have a great match with Cody, and they have history. So I think it'll be great. I think either way it goes, this is just awesome. This is how you get right back into the mix and lead right in the front, right in the backlash with the right way. And I thought SmackDown did a really good job of just establishing things forward with the bloodline and all that. I think I'm still intrigued. I think a lot of people when you come off that high that was WrestleMania, you come off a long ass reign that like Roman and the bloodline story. You wonder where could they go next. You know, will they immediately not know what to do? It seemed like Triple H had a really good plan already set in stone for where he wanted to go immediately, and I think SmackDown was a perfect example of it.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. And like I said, long-term storytelling, you know, even if it's bloodline, you know, on the face side versus a new bloodline, if Cody versus whatever we got, it's an exciting future. Talk about Backlash will be the next WWE show we do. And the poster flat is fucking brilliant as well with just the title on Cody's back.
Yes.
And what a week and what a WrestleMania. You know, and next year's Mania is not announced, so it might be the UK. I don't know about
Who knows, man?
But finally, I will say it was interesting because after Roman Reigns lost, they were saying it was the first time since I think the August of that year. No, it's February 29th, 2020, where Moxley won the world title. And when Reigns lost, no Shield member held a title for 4 years.
Right.
It lasted 5 days.
5 days. Yep,
we have a new IWGP heavyweight champion, but we will cover that hopefully on Japan next month. But I think that's it for now. We've done over 10 hours of podcasting for over 24 hours of content over WrestleMania weekend. But man, was it worth it, and are we going to sleep well? That is it. Don't forget, we're across all social media, Twitter at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNR JR. You can find the entire WNR team on the Twitter banner. Monty, where can people find and listen to you?
At Mind Monty Pod. Check it out on, like you said, on Twitter. Type in Mind and Monty wherever you get your podcast.
Jaxie?
Yeah, I'm across Twitch, X, and Instagram at Jaxie Scarlett.
Gina?
You can find me on the same at Purple Pain.
WNR Facebook, Instagram, across all good platforms. Send us an email at WNRpodcast@gmail.com and YouTube podcast with all the latest clips. Podcasts got the same time on YouTube. Do SoundCloud on your phone, also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that's it. Our next episode is 2 weeks, and it's AEW Dynasty. Until then, I've been James Rowlands, and I was joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. Jaxie, your 8th WrestleMania in the history books, eh?
Yep, definitely. You know, we'll see where things are next year. I'll be on top next year. Just you wait.
And of course, the mind of Monty, and appreciate you joining me, especially with recent events in the wrestling world as well.
Yeah, no problem. Always a good time. Like you mentioned, a fantastic week for us wrestling fans. And I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I think this entire year, you got just got to be excited for where WWE's going. And then we'll, just in general, where we are in professional wrestling, I say it all the time. We are so spoiled, and it continues to be true.
Without a shadow of a doubt. And of course, the genius of Gina, our WrestleMania prediction queen. How do you feel, Gina?
Yeah, I feel amazing after the event, especially because it was just such a great event. And then the fact that I've come out on top as the prediction queen, I definitely am going to take this as my weekend. So, yeah.
Well, it is your weekend. So, but that's it. Thanks for listening, everybody. And bye.